We're going to get started in about 2 or 3 minutes, but I do want anybody here in the crowd that wants, if you're here to speak at one of the public hearings or during the general comments of the citizens, we do have cards that you fill out, and those are located where, Brittany? They're out front at the back if you want to grab one of those. Wait a second. I'm gonna get.
Well, I've talked to her. I don't really understand the two different things. But she the legacy.
Oh, really?
See here, this is the legacy grant, is $500,000. And the fine arts school.
Let's see here.
Really?
Yeah, I got a text from RV. And I got a text that they found 40 years safe from.
We got 6:30 yet?
There.
6:29.
All right.
Let's go by
We
that
got
clock up
60
there.
Oh, yeah, it's late,
Oh, their clock's fast too.
just like ours.
Ours is slow. No, ours is slow. They're just fast.
Oh, well, I meant the other one.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call it. I think it's close enough. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this Town of Arlington Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for Monday, June 2nd. Please note that all aldermen are present. And so we want to thank you all for being here, and it's kind of a special night on a couple of things. But I do want to ask our fire department chaplain and also the pastor at Faith Arlington to come up and please say the prayer for us. And I just put him on the spot, but he's an old friend, so I thought I'd do it real quick. Yeah, old. I did call him old. I did
That's
call him old.
old, that's right. I mean, I just want to say, on behalf of, our town's tragedy, I just want to take a moment, if we could, to lift that up in prayer for the family and just all involved. So we do that.
thank you.
Let's pray together. Father God, we thank you for today. And Father, we just pause right now. Father, we know that your word asks us to cast our cares upon you because you care for us. And God, the best way we know how, we lift up this family and the loss of a 7-year-old boy. Father, we lift up the neighbor. Father, we lift up the school teachers who have taught this young man, the students who have gone to school with him. Father, we pray for all involved, Father, for the town. We pray that your healing hand would touch us and, Father, heal us. Father, I do pray for this meeting. I thank you for the leadership of this incredible town. God, thank you for your favor and blessing on this town. We pray you'd continue to do a mighty work. So, Father, be with our time together. Be with this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And Dr. Clark, since this is your building, will you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the May 5th, 2025 meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Barker. Any discussion or question on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Before we get to the grievances and, I'll make that announcement in a second. Now we do have grievances and comments from citizens. This is where we allow you to come and speak on any particular topic. We'll give you up to 3 minutes. We do ask you to state your name and address for the record. You can talk on anything you'd like tonight. It doesn't mean that we will necessarily discuss it back with you, but staff will take notes and get back with you if something comes to where that's needed. If you're here to speak on one of the particular public hearings, please wait and do so at that time. And so again, we do have cards. I've only got one card right now, but if somebody else has another card or wants to come up here, they can grab one or raise your hand and I'll get you one up here. But if not, right now I've got one, and I've got a Stella Jackson. Stella Jackson. Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Please state your name and address for the record.
Stella Jackson, 5522 Hayes Road. I have been living on Hayes Road since 1998. I'm having problems with trespassers. They're riding through my property on ATVs, bicycles, and skateboards. And I've tried to ask them to stop doing it, but they refuse to stop. I've made several complaints to the police department. I have put up signs for trespassing and cameras. They have removed all the signs and stolen the cameras. There's a fence that I had put up, a brand new fence. They're tearing it down. Most of them live back in Chapel Ridge subdivision. They're teenagers. They're also coming down the pathway by the ditch. And there's two little girls that walk up and down there, and that's dangerous. Not only is it snakes and stuff out there, but who knows what else is out there. The fence that I put up, they tore down. Also the fence that the city has put up alongside that ditch, that metal fence, they seem to be tearing it down also. So my question is, what can be done? The police department have been contacted, so I don't know anything else to do.
Yes, ma'am.
I also have pictures.
Okay, if you want to turn around and give that to staff, and we can have staff get with you in the next day or so and see if there's anything that we can do from an enforcement side on our, or help coordinate with the sheriff's office, but that's all we can do right now. Okay.
We'll have our public works director call you and see if he has a time that's convenient for you to meet out there.
I've had Public Works to come out.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, thank you.
thank you for being here, and sorry you're having a problem. Was there anyone else that came in that had a card or wanted to speak? All right. Moving on to communications. We have Sheriff's Department report is on file. I don't see a representative of the Sheriff's Department here. We do have that on file. Next up, we have Chief Harville with his presentation.
Good evening. Our fire report for the month of May is on file. In lieu of presentation of that report, we'd like to spend this time to recognize our new Assistant Chief, Patrick Laughlin. Patrick Laughlin began his career with us May 7th of this month, or last month rather. But he began his career in the fire service in 1998, making commitment to community safety. Over the years, he's risen through the ranks, serving in various capacities, including firefighter, EMT, driver, lieutenant, training officer, and battalion chief of planning and development. He's excited to bring his experience and dedication to the fire services of the town of Arlington. He has been a nearby resident of the town of Arlington for over 20 years. He has 3 daughters, and they were students here at the Arlington Community Schools, and his wife, Julie, serves as the school secretary at the high school. The opportunity to continue his career protecting the lives and property of the community he considers his hometown is a great honor and privilege. I'd like to bring Patrick Laughlin up with me now.
Okay.
Patrick, I'm gonna have you stand there. He's joined tonight by his wife, Julie, and several family members. I'm gonna let him introduce his family members now.
It's my wife Julie. Many of y'all probably know her. Arlington Heights. This is Charlie. That's Charlie's mother, my oldest daughter Marley. And she's got a little Nellie on the way any day now. And I've got my middle daughter Bailey, holding up, she's got twins. And my mom, dad, Buddy, and Gail Laughlin. Then another daughter Barkley, who's in Nashville. She's a nurse at Vanderbilt. She would be here, but she's a nurse.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. We're excited to have him join us. This is a formality. We'd like to recognize him with his family because his family, again, makes a big sacrifice for him to continue to serve in the fire service. At the time, I'd like to surrender the floor to you, Mayor, if you'd like to say anything for Patrick before we swear him in.
This is a little different one for me because I've had, I've had the pleasure of working alongside Patrick for, or Chief Harville now, excuse me, Chief Laughlin now, for probably the last 4 or 5 years. But I've known him since high school. He's been one of those who's been embedded in the community for many years. His family, they're all, like you said, they're all graduates of Arlington High School. She works here. I think it's exciting to bring someone with, you gave kind of his background of the 27 years experience and kind of like you know, there's a lot of experience that came from Memphis. And so it's a pleasure to see that, but it's also, I'm excited for the town. We know where we want to get with this department. We have a lot of capable men. I can't say men and women. We don't have any women on the fire department. We have capable men on the fire department that are looking to grow this department as we move forward with the town. And I'm excited to have both you gentlemen leading that. But Patrick, I'm happy for you. You were, I think since you've left, I've gotten questions every day from the director on down as to how you're doing, how's everything going. You're deeply missed, and everybody has been really excited for you this next opportunity. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy for your family, and I'm looking forward to what you can help bring to this town.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, we're going to go ahead and do our pinning ceremony. His wife Julie is going to pin him, so I'm going to present you his badge. Perfect. So I'll have you face the crowd since these are the ones you'll be serving and these are the ones you'll be supporting. So I'm going to have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Patrick Laughlin,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Tennessee,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Tennessee,
and the Charter and ordinances of the Town of Arlington.
and the Charter and ordinances of the Town of Arlington.
I dedicate myself to the protection
I dedicate myself to the protection
of life and property
of life and property,
from fire and medical emergencies.
from fire and medical emergency.
I will faithfully discharge my duties
I will faithfully discharge my duties
to the Town of Arlington
to the Town of Arlington
and to Shelby County, Tennessee,
and to Shelby County, Tennessee,
in an efficient and courteous manner,
in an efficient and courteous manner,
and endeavor to live up to
and endeavor to live up to
the sacred trust invested in me.
the sacred trust invested in me.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I offered Mrs. Durant, who's my boss, to come up and say a few words as well about Patrick, if you'd like.
Well, Chief, real quick, I'm just happy he made it. He's past the I state your name part because I was really worried about that.
Patrick, this is usually Chief Laughlin. Forgive us if we say Patrick every once in a while. This is usually where I welcome you as part of our family. You see a lot of employees of the town of Arlington here, and we all truly feel like a family. So we support your family always comes first, but we want you to feel that support from us as your outside family. So welcome to the family of the town of Arlington. We're very privileged and glad to have you.
Very, very honored to be here, and
Thank you for sharing.
I've only been here for a little less than a month, and I've already witnessed how this fire department responds to the community. They made a fire call and a really serious, probably the hardest call as firefighters we can make. And just to witness these guys and how they came together Saturday. Very, very proud to be part of that.
Mayor, if we could, we're going to have a picture with you and Chief Laughlin and his family. We're going to use that as a backdrop just real quick.
Okay, that's fine. No, I was, if he's not choked up enough to go over here and talk right now, so, okay, all right. Usually you see that.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Chief, I don't know if Chief Harwell was gonna tell you this, but I know you have your family and a bunch of grandkids here, and they may be hungry, so nobody's gonna be offended if y'all leave. I don't know what your marching orders are from Chief Harwell, but I was talking about the family,
We
so.
said the same thing, Mayor. We said he has his family here and he should treat them all to dinner tonight.
Okay. Yeah, considering some people didn't get steak dinners when you left, so.
I didn't mean to get choked up, but I'm just really proud of these guys. Saturday, great job.
And same as our personnel that's all here. I mean, I know you guys are here. I don't know what your marching orders are from Chief, but if you're wanting them to stay for this meeting or not, but if they, that's up to Chief.
That's up to you guys.
There's a lot of people back there standing up. Okay. All right, so next up, just a few comments. I'm gonna have Ms. Howell from the Arlington Chamber come up, make a few announcements.
Okay, I'm most excited to be here tonight to show you and debut the new town guide. And so I have one for each of you. You are the first ones to get them. And I'm going to give these to Angela to pass out to the alderman and then to your table. And then I have several copies I'll put on the foyer as a table. Consider this piece for the whole town. Any of the churches, the schools are welcome to use it. I know you all use it for a job fair piece. Realtors, any of the businesses. We have 10,000 copies, and I appreciate Terry Perkins and David Garrison taking care of that for me at Public Works. So the town does know how to get their hands on those cases, and we want to make sure they hit the streets because that's how we show folks where the best place in Shelby County in Tennessee is to live. So I'm really excited to share it with you. Be kind. It represents a whole lot of work on my part. So be kind in your criticisms. But I appreciate, and I wanted to share it with y'all first. It's been embargoed for the last several days, so you all could have it first. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I do want to mention next Wednesday is our June Chamber Luncheon. I cannot believe I'm saying June. We've got Sherwin Stewart, the CEO of St. Francis Hospital, is our guest speaker. And then on June 21st, we have our next Music on the Square. Harry and I think we had 1,200 people at the May event. And so I suspect that with June, we'll even have a larger crowd because we are competing with so many graduation parties and things like that. The band that plays at the June event, they're the Crazy Rockers last year that really partied down on the square. Hairspray Nation is the name of the band, so it's a lot of fun. So thank you, Mayor.
I see a lot of gray hair in here, so they probably all know who Hairspray Nation is.
I get offended by that.
Tanya, thank you for this. I was able to sneak preview the other night, and it's very
amazing.
well done. A lot of work went into it, and it's good when we have things like this to hand out to people as they're looking at being prospective, either businesses or residents of Arlington. So thank you and all your hard work. And I know Angela probably was a little secret in the background, a little birdie sometimes giving, so thank you too.
She did proofing for you.
There you go. So if anything's wrong, it's on Angela.
And Mayor, 1,200 was probably light because I count heads at Bellevue and, you know, sometimes you lose count.
Yeah. Exactly. So, well, just a couple other she mentioned Music on the Square, the chamber lunch. We do have the fireworks show on what, the 27th?
27th Friday night.
27th, Friday night, 27th, the week before, 6 o'clock.
Band and 9:15 fireworks.
Always a big event, and we're doing good there. And let's see, we do have one other, I'm gonna try to get us to our meet, since we got a lot on the agenda. We do have a second reading. We don't have a July meeting. I wanna go ahead and get that on the record now. There's no July meeting.
Special call meeting on June 23rd.
Special call meeting on June 23rd. That would be the second reading of this. Real quick, just so everybody knows, do we have Planning Commission DRC this month? This month nor next month?
Not this month.
Not this month, okay. So all of our meetings for the next, all of our Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings will be in this building till up through November.
Correct.
But Planning Commission and DRC will be at Town Hall. So just want to try to alleviate any confusion, which there will be. All right. Any committee reports? All right, on to the consent agenda. We do have one item we need to pull off, which is item A. It's the Arlington Schools Board of Education budget. We're going to move that to the first item of new business. So the consent agenda is really only B and C. So do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee.
Second.
Second by Mr. Biggs. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. On to old business. Second and final reading of ordinance 2025-01 to amend Title VII, Fire Protection and Fireworks, the Town of Arlington, Tennessee Municipal Code. We do have a public hearing on this. I'm going to turn this over to Chief Harble.
I'll be joined by Ms. Reeder as well. She's worked diligently on this. We were cleaning up some of the verbiage, mainly for gross square footage. So we took straight from the International Fire Code, International Building Code, terminology and definitions for gross square footage to apply to the building code, adoption of the International Fire Code 2021.
And just to remind you, so this is the ordinance that will update the fire code that we have in place now. It's 2012. Currently, we're updating it to 2021. The code itself references the appendices, and then there's some text amendments that we talked about. None of those changed. There were no comments on those last time, so we made no edits to any of those. The only thing that was questioned was the definition of the gross, and as Chief said, we pulled that from the fire code. It basically says the same thing as last time. It's worded slightly different so that it's more consistent and a little easier to follow. This is what will apply to all uses, so industrial uses, retail uses, assembly uses will all follow this definition. Last time we had a second ordinance that followed it. That one, you said you didn't want to hear back until August, dealing with residential. So when we bring that, there will be some tweaks or exceptions so that it applies to residential the way we want to enforce that. But because this applies to everything, as Chief said, we just follow the code and what they're doing currently regarding gross square footage, which is pretty much everything under roof, for the most part. We're recommending approval on this to adopt it. You have the strike through underline and everything in front of you, so we'll answer any questions on that.
You've heard the recommendation by Chief and Ms. Reeder, excuse me. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Brooks.
Second.
Second by Mr. Barker. Let's, again, so I'm glad Mrs. Reeder clarified that. So again, this is not voting on the residential sprinkler portion of it. It's just voting on the definitions and all that. So I know that was the one that was a little more in-depth.
We will send more information on that.
Okay.
We just want to get through this budget issue.
And if it doesn't, with summer, if it doesn't hit in August and goes to September, we'll be fine. We just make sure we get it right.
We'll get it to you.
Yeah, okay. All right, I just know a lot of people, I mean, with us not meeting in July, sometimes things kind of slip a little bit on,
And Mayor, it is the second reading for the adoption of the 2021 fire code.
yes. So is everyone clear what we're voting on?
Yep.
Oh, we do have a public hearing.
That's right.
That's right, I got it right here on my next page. Do I have a motion to suspend this meeting, open the public
Yes.
hearing? Vice Mayor McKee, motion. Second by Mr. Harmon. We are now in the public hearing for the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-1. And this was published in the Daily News and the Commercial Appeal on May 13th. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this request, please come forward and be recognized. Seeing none. I'm not used to looking at the screen in front of me. It's big old TV right here.
You catch your little baseball game.
Yeah, exactly. So seeing none, no one's here to speak on that. Do I have a motion to close the hearing and resume the meeting? Motion by Vice Mayor McKee. Second by Mr. Harmon. We are back on the main motion. Any discussion or questions for staff? Seeing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Thank y'all. Next item, B, second and final reading of ordinance 2025-3 to amend and readopt the Town of Arlington sewer ordinance in compliance with national pretreatment regulations. We do have a public hearing on this. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Perkins and Mr. Rivera. Or Mr. Perkins, whichever one.
Again, this is just cleaning up some language. This is bringing in line with state and federal guidelines. It's really not going to alter how we approach industry inspections. Just clean up the language to match state and federal guidelines.
The pH is changing. One of the things we wanted to do in that, the incoming pH to the plant is always been 5.5 to 9.5 range, and we're changing that to 6.5. It'll make it a lot better on the plant, the way it runs.
Awesome.
You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee. Who said second? Mr. Biggs? Second. All right, discussion or questions for staff? Sounds like it's going to be an improvement.
People only complain when it's not working right. So as long as we keep it
Pretty
working
much.
right.
Yeah. That's the biggest piece of infrastructure we have that you get the most complaints on real fast. We do have a public hearing on this one too. So do I have a motion to suspend?
Yes.
Suspend the meeting and start a public hearing? Vice Mayor McKee, second by Mr. Biggs. Is that what I said? Yeah. This is the second and final reading of ordinance 2025-03 to amend and readopt the Town of Arlington sewer ordinance. This public hearing was published in the Daily News and the Commercial Appeal on May 13th, 2025. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this request, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Anyone here for this particularly? Seeing none, do I have a motion to resume the meeting, close this
Yes.
public hearing, resume the meeting? Vice Mayor McKee, motion, second by Mr. Biggs, back on the main motion. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Mrs. Owens, you said you had something we need to add under others, that's under new business, okay. So nothing else under old business. All right, on to new business. We are going to go to the schools. Let me get that item back up here. We're gonna bump them first, so. So for clarity, we did have them on the consent agenda, but there was a little bit of language we needed to clean up with some reporting. So Dr. Clark and staff talked, and so we just thought we would come forward tonight. And I told her no presentation, but she's still gonna give us a presentation. But she said she's gonna make it fast, so.
So what I'm going to share tonight will help substantiate what I feel you need for your Tennessee Comptroller's Office. I briefly spoke to Ms. Owens before this meeting, and I shared with her and we spoke, and I told her I really feel like this would help substantiate and help you in your Tennessee Comptroller's Office reporting your budget. But before I begin, I do want to recognize Mr. Overby. He is our technology supervisor, and he's agreed to be at all your meetings and help operate everything, and he's phenomenal. You'll learn that real quickly. You need help. He doesn't even make you feel stupid when it's something real easy. He just politely tells you turn it off, turn back on.
I feel stupid because the whole agenda was right here in front of me on a TV screen, and I'm reading it off a piece of paper. That's the way I'm used to doing it.
He'll say,
couldn't
Mayor
figure
Wisdom,
that
it's
out.
right
Look
there
at
in
that.
front of your screen. You'll say it so nicely.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to recognize Mr. Tim Ruff. He's our Chief of Operations, and so he's agreed to be here for facilities and help you with the facilities any way he can. And then tonight, we do have Miss Amy Sappinsley. She's our Chief Financial Officer. I know she's been working with Miss Owens closely and helping you with this process. And then we have our board chair, Mr. Scott Benjamin, tonight, and then another one of our board members, Courtney Barnes.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you for being so generous and letting us use this building.
Absolutely.
So just to help with this process, our fund balance is trying to explain that fund balance. And I know this was your request, and I understand it was a request by your Tennessee Comptroller's Office that we're asking you a lot of questions. And I felt like it was important to share with you the fund balance and how it's a part of our annual budgeting process. And it's really looking at our budgeting process and what we've used for the past 11 years and has been very successful with it as a school district. So it's very important to remember that ACS, we do not rely on our fund balance for any of our reoccurring expenses. Instead, we use those fund balance strategically, and I have a slide to share with you how we have to front load a lot of expenditures because our revenue does not come in a timely fashion to operate a school district, especially the way that our community loves the way we operate that school district with our resources. It does allow us to do that also with one-time capital improvement projects or initiatives that's not part of our annual operating cost. So to talk about our process and what we have used and been successful with, how we budget when revenues come in waves. And I will share with you a slide down the road that shows you actually how that revenue did come in waves this fiscal FY25. So when the money arrives, so our revenues come from the state, the county, the town of Arlington, and our federal sources arrive throughout the year. And part of federal funding is federal funding does not give you those expenditures until you've spent them and you get them 2 months later. Timing is often uncertain and does not align with our school year calendar, which I will share that with you, a slide later that shows how that works. And then most of our major expenses, if you just think about starting up a business, I mean, really, when your school year begins, it's a new business we're starting. And so you can imagine to ensure that our students have all their resources and their needs, we have to do the majority of those expenditures come in July, August, September, and then overall with we analyze our budget, and that's what I'll emphasize is how we do that process in analyzing our budget. It happens that first semester. The bulk of our expenditures is that first semester. So how do we plan for this? So we have to budget very aggressively. So when we budget aggressively, and then we also consider any type of anticipated costs that could come our way. So then that way we're confident in moving forward, and especially during the start of the school year where we have the majority of our expenditures. So what happens is also we forecast conservatively. We have estimates of revenue that we will get. Typically, those revenues estimates are lower than what we actually get. That's what has done historically. We budget aggressively. We spend under that budget. So when December takes place, that's when we start really doing a close analysis. We always analyze our expenditures, make sure we're staying underneath budget. But December is when we really start taking a very close analysis because we can look at the majority of our expenditures that has happened for the budget, and that's that first semester if you look at it as a school year. And then we see, okay, what we budgeted and what we spent and the majority of our expenditures, they come below budget. So then at December, we can see, okay, this is the remaining amount of money that we have on expenditures that have already been spent. That's the remaining amount. Then you'll see here, I keep talking about this slide, but it's very visual in showing these revenues. The majority of revenues come in during second semester, and you'll see that. And then we can look at, okay, where are we at now? what do we have to commit in spending, like employee salaries? And are there any capital improvement projects or anything we need to hold back on because we may go into the fund balance too deep? Now, we have never had to go on our fund balance, and that's the result of the way we've handled our budget and our budgeting process by budgeting aggressively, coming underneath, and being conservative on our anticipated revenue. So our fund balance, and I'll show you this on the next slide, has grown every year since this school district has been in existence. And that's contributed to the former 2 superintendents that have handled the budget to put us in that position today. And that would continue to be my goal as the current superintendent. So if we were, this is just a repeat of what I just shared, if we were ever to anticipate a shortfall, then our remaining expenditures in December, we would look at what we may need to postpone. That is if we saw us going too deep in the fund balance and then we would make sure that employee salaries and any essential services would remain fully funded. So looking at our fund balance, I just felt like it's the former math teacher in me. I was a high school math teacher, mathematician. When you start talking about numbers, they can get a little jumbled in your mind. So when you put it on a graph, it helps bring clarity to what we're all looking at. So if you look at FY15, the first year that this district was in existence, $6.4 million was carried over into a fund balance. That's the first line. Now you'll notice that bottom line, the blue line, ACS yearly deposits to fund balance. So that shows you how we have each year what we contributed. The green line shows the accumulation all the way up to where we're at now in FY24. And so as FY24, of course, FY25 we don't know because we have closed, but we are doing well at this point, no concerns. But the total general fund balance for ACS is a little over $36 million. This fund balance has only grown since FY15, and ACS yearly deposits to fund balance, just to note that, FY15 was the lowest carryover, that was right under 1.5 million. And then FY21 through 24, which I'm sure you've heard this, with the COVID and the ESSER fund, we were able to be very aggressively in our fund balance, so put us a little over 14 million in that short period of time to contribute to our fund balance. Just something to point out, Watkins Uberall is our auditors. They have been for the past 8 years. They do audits on a lot of the area municipal school districts. So last year they came to a board meeting just to give us feedback on how we're doing as a district. And our cash flow versus our expenditures for our fund balance is 72% cash reserves, which they're alluding to our fund balance, to our expenditures. And when they compare that to other municipal school districts in this area, the average is 30%. So we're way above that. And the statement they made is you have been managing your money very well to build your reserves up to that much. There definitely should not be questions around stewardship. So maybe that will help you with your report to the comptroller's office. And just to look at our general revenue fund balance, in our fund balance, you will see that our largest revenue comes from the state, the Tennessee Investment Student Achievement. That's a little right at 40%. Our county taxes that we receive from Shelby County, and I'll share with you what those taxes break down with you on the next slide, is right under 32%. Then the town of Arlington at 1.7%, and then we have other like rental agreements and things of that nature of revenue we bring in. And yes, fund balance is in there, but in the end, the way we budget aggressively, we stay underneath budget, we conservatively look at our revenue coming in, we have yet to use our fund balance. So if you look at the revenue timing, this is how it looked for this year. So on the left side, you'll see TISA, that's the state one, about at 41%. You'll notice that that doesn't start coming in until August. July 1 is when our fiscal year begins. We have to start paying bills, making plans, starting school up. Shelby County property tax, that does come in. That's a monthly, that does come in a monthly installment. Our Shelby County sales tax, that's monthly, that comes in. Notice wheel tax. We are supposed to receive wheel tax every single month. Notice we did not receive the first revenue from wheel tax until November. And what that means is if you look at July, I'm supposed to operate a school with $813,000. And those are where our major expenditures are. So that fund balance keeps us from coming to the town saying, hey, we need a loan to operate a school district. We can use our fund balance and then replace that money, budget aggressively, analyze our budget throughout the year to keep where we're at. So the wheel tax, you'll see that coming in. Also notice we haven't gotten all of our money and it's June the 2nd. We're still owed money from May and then June, and here we are. Shelby County Capital Improvement Project. Now for that, we have to do a capital improvement project. It has to qualify for that. They only give us 85% of it. The 85% only got to us in March. Now, you do a capital improvement project, you have it for a whole fiscal year. Naturally, you need to start on it in July. So I'm using fund balance to do this capital improvement project. They give me 85%. They will not, and that's not the full 85%. The full 85% is what they gave me March, anticipated May, anticipated June. So they don't give me that full 85%. They're supposed to give it to you monthly, but they're a little behind this year, and we don't know why. So that just shares with you that lag time. Now, the remaining 15% does not come until Memphis Shelby County Schools has completed their capital improvement project, and all the municipal schools have completed their project. So that meant 15% has to come out of our pocket to show completion. We may not get that for a year or two. So that just shares with you that kind of lag time again. And then the town of Arlington, you contributed the $1 million about at February. So that does not include all of our revenue sources. We are fortunate with our fund balance that with the interest rates that can fluctuate, but we have gained approximately $1 million each year off the interest off of our fund balance. So that's another type of revenue source that helps us. Just to put at ease about capital improvement projects, we've done a lot of great capital improvement projects as a district without having to go into the fund balance, without having to take out loans, things of that nature. So if you look, you're more than welcome at your leisure to go to our website and see our whole capital improvement project plan. But I thought this would be a good at a glance. If you'll notice how much we have spent and what we've done, you look at FY26, and if you look at FY27, it's dramatically going down. That is my goal as a superintendent. I've been very clear with the board members. I said, we've got to go in maintenance mode. My goal is to put us in maintenance mode, which they agree because we have done a lot of capital improvement projects. We're staying very competitive with the other municipal school districts because, let's be honest, that's what it's about too at this time is public school choice and being competitive. So that has allowed us to put us in a good position where we can go on maintenance mode. And I've had conversations with principals so they understand that about how that budget works and the reason we're going in this direction. So there's a lot of great things that happen in our school district, and I've seen a lot of you at our events, and I appreciate that support. And you can always subscribe to our newsletter to follow us and see all of this. Any questions about our budget?
Thank you, Dr. Clark. Very informative. It's to hear you. It sounds kind of like what we're going to talk about here in a little bit when you talk about fund balance and you talk about being very, fiscally responsible, using what you can, not taking out debt and all that. So, I mean, we have that kind of same mode. So it's good to see that the town, even though we're separate entities, kind of operate the same. So I thank you for that. Comments from anybody on the board, comments, questions?
I'd like.
Oh, we need a motion. That's right, we need a motion on this because it wasn't just a presentation. Do I, so.
A motion. I give you a motion.
So motion by Mr. Biggs. Second by Mr. Harmon. Now, we're on the main motion.
Thank you for doing this.
Well, y'all talking to microphones, I think they're.
Yeah, it's on. But really appreciate you doing this because this was, I'm a visual person, and so this really helped me. I actually met with Amy last year because I was like, see this chart, you're taking 24% of the fund balance, and so she did a good job of explaining it to me, and then I slept, and then I slept another night, and by the third night I was like, how did that work again? But it's obvious. It puts me at a lot of ease when I see that that the fund balance is actually growing. So that eliminates from my mind this 24% coming out of the fund balance. And then you're kind of talking about it's your vision to go into maintenance mode, and that's music to my ears as well, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's great we're doing all these projects, but they're going to need new roofs, they're going to need new fences, they're going to need all this stuff. And so I'm really happy to hear that too. And then the other thing I really wanted to say was just on a personal note, I asked you to meet with me, you met with me, and it was really refreshing. We had a great conversation, but it was just really refreshing because as an alderman, but also just as a citizen of the town, I truly felt listened to in that meeting, and I felt like we had a great conversation, and we talked about DRC and working with the town on that, and you said some things that was music to my ears around that too. And so I just want to tell you, I really appreciate that meeting, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this presentation, because it's very informative. And I think, to me, I've been kind of concerned, like the comptroller's not happy, what's going on? But I think, if you, like you said, if you present this information along with your budget, I think that should put a lot of people at ease. So appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Mr. Harmon?
I just want to thank you for everything y'all do. School system is phenomenal. The people that are running it, the teachers, it's a win-win situation. And that's what's really helping Arlington be Arlington. So thank you, everybody in that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll share that because our teachers and our school level employees and our support staff, they do a phenomenal job. And as you mentioned about the passing of one of our students, we had his teacher drove his parents to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And stayed in contact with them the whole weekend and making sure they knew that we're support in any way we can. And that's going above and beyond.
Absolutely.
Mr. McKee?
The student that passed away, I just can't even imagine everything that's going with that, from family to teachers and students. And we as a town, whether we're on this side of the town or the school side of the town, we're all together to support that entire endeavor. I wanted to say a couple things. As a parent with a graduating senior, and usually I've attended several of the graduations to be there and support, but it's different to be there as a parent and watch your kid walk across the stage and shake 17 people's hands as they go through, but you enjoy every one of them. So I wanted to say thank you for that. I also want to say that there's always things that we would like to see improved or whatever change, and I would just say that this year, from a new principal standpoint, at the high school and the middle school, they're both home runs. We have thoroughly, as parents, enjoyed having interaction with both of them. We've gotten to know them a little bit, and they've been great. So I just want to tell you that those are home run hires. I also want to say that I think as a board to board, myself and Mr. Biggs, Mr. Benjamin, Mr. Dunn have had opportunity over the last year to meet 2 or 3 times, not really to complain to each other, but to brainstorm about how both sides can help the other side achieve the goals that they would like to see, or things that the town may need to do different or better, et cetera, back and forth. And so I just want to say that I appreciate the fact that over the last year, I think that our communication and relationship has improved, and I think we both see each other's vision much better. And so I just want to say those things and I also have another one coming up to be a senior this year, so I get to do it all over again. Miss Amy, I want to tell you that you've done a really good job in your role coming in your second year. I know your first year here in this position. I just want to tell you thank you for keeping the ship going in the right direction, and we want to support every way we can. And as I think most of us by nature up here are inquisitive and maybe sometimes skeptical about things that we see or hear or whatever, and so we want to dig in. So I don't want you to ever think that what we're asking is because we don't trust, but as much as we just want to understand and know exactly what's going on, because we all have to turn and report back to the citizens. And so I just want to say thank you for the information tonight, for sharing that with us and just being open to us. So
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that.
Hope it'll be helpful for what you all need to do moving forward as well.
Thank you.
Mine's gonna be real short. I think you already know my questions, but first, congratulations to you for the position you're in now compared to what it was for last year. I think it's been a good year. But, and if I'm not mistaken, I think the last $333,000 for all of our schools has been submitted.
Yes, that will happen. Mr. Benjamin has made that request that happens July 1, that we will pay Shelby County our last payment, and we own our buildings.
And I think it was, what was that, Mike, 4 million?
It's 4 million.
4 million. And the couple that I had, like last year too, explain the difference, real short. I told her this before the meeting, the legacy grant and the fine arts grant. The legacy grant, I know it's got some sports involved in it, but it has to be not planned. Is that correct?
Pretty much not planned. Also startup clubs, like we've offered a startup club, volleyball club at the elementary school. So that's a startup club to get it on its feet, purchase all the equipment. So when any reoccurring expenditures to be part of that club at the elementary would be small. We had our flag football team, the Arlington High School flag football team, so they needed startup funds for that. Well, they're one of the sports, along with some others, that made it to state. State is not something, I mean, we always dream for it. We want all our teams to go to state, but as part of your fees, you don't put that in there as part of the fees because you don't know it's gonna happen. So when state gets put upon one of our teams to go to state, then what we do is they can apply for the legacy grant, and that offsets those, because if you look at travel expenditures and hotel costs, those are high dollar costs, and our teams wouldn't get to probably go and participate in a lot of those if it wasn't for that legacy grant. Model UN was a club. I just feel like need to mention this one, but they're a debate club, and our general counsel, she worked with them as well with the sponsor, and they made it to state. And so after they qualified state, and they're competing against private schools, high, well-noted private schools. And so they competed, did very well, very successful, and then they were invited to go to Harvard Mock Congress in Boston. Well, students wouldn't have been able to go because that's airfare, hotel, things of that nature. Legacy Grant sent them. And so that was a wonderful opportunity. They presented at the board meeting and shared about that experience. And it's giving students opportunities that if their parents had to pay for it, we have students they just couldn't, their parents could not do that. So that's what that does, is level that playing ground and give them those opportunities. Now that's a grant. The fine arts is actually a budgeted item in our general budget. Last year, it was $103,000. This year, it's $250,000. And so what that does is it supports our fine arts. That's visual, it's the art, it's the chorus, then you got orchestra, you got band, all the way through high school. What that does is that supports them with their equipment and also with their travel, because once they hit middle and high school, they're starting to travel and compete out of state as well. So that helps with that, because what's different about that than a sport is that's an actual class they take during the school day. And so you're talking about things getting old. Well, our high school is 20 years old. So the band instruments there are old as well. And so Legacy Grant did help fund some of that, but our general budget this year funded 20 more grand, and then next year we'll fund another 40 grand. So it's really offsetting a lot of those costs, and also our media production, TV media that we have at the high school, it funds about 70,000 of that 250 is for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions you got or comments? No? Anyone else? We thank you for being here and presenting this. We thank you for, again, allowing us the use of this facility. And thank you for your staff for being here. And once we vote on this, I know you have a busy life too. So like, again, we're not gonna be offended if y'all leave, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Thank you. Next up, I'm gonna roll everything back one letter. Is that okay, Brittany? So this item, you mean say call item A, item B now, or do you want to still call them item A? Okay, item B. Resolution 2025-22 to approve the master development plan for Will Harris Cove PD, a mixed-use plan development off Summers Road, south of Milton Wilson. We do have a public hearing on this, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Crater.
All right, so we'll try to keep this short and sweet because I know we got a long meeting tonight, so we'll just hit the high points. As we know, the intent of a plan development is to promote and facilitate the use of flexible techniques of land development and site design to provide relief from typical requirements for conventional developments. And the goal of this is to produce high-quality developments that will ultimately give a higher level of performance and better services to the town. Master Development Plan applies to all phases to be initially developed and shall include all requirements set forth in the zoning ordinance. And as such, this is under 50 acres, so the Master Development Plan is the only step of the approval process and will include a development agreement. The applicant is requesting BMA approval of a Master Development Plan for a mixed-use plan development containing 13.93 acres. This was recommended by the Planning Commission on April 21st of 25. Purpose of a mixed-use plan development is to permit a variety of uses on the same site or within the same building, and then to enable the uses to function as a community neighborhood without separation typically required by zoning standards. A mixed-use PD must comply with certain criteria. First of these is a mix of uses, each comprising no more than 3 uses, each comprising no less than 10% of the overall area. Amount of residential is included. Maximum amount of residential must be less than 50%. Just under 4 acres, proposed residential does fall below that threshold in this particular development. And the third criteria is residential density. The PDMs allow a maximum of 6 dwelling units per acre. The proposed unit maximum of 20 falls below the threshold set by the ordinance. The final 2 requirements are the availability of utilities and the size of the property. A minimum of 10 acres is required. This is exceeded since it's 13.93 acres, and unit utilities are available to serve the development as proposed. The proposed uses, Will Harris Cove PD consists of 4 uses, including multifamily residential, commercial, office, Hospitality hotel. Each of these uses comprise more than 10% of the overall area of the PD. The proposed master development plan is broken in 5 areas. Area 1 is 3.97 acres. It's on the far western edge of the PD, and the permitted use in this zone would be multifamily townhouse. The area includes 20 townhouses. This will serve as a transition from the existing single-family residential to the more intense uses heading towards Airline Road. Proposal indicates 1,350 square foot townhomes, which would be 2 to 3 stories in height. The conceptual site plan does include ample green space with amenities such as common open space, paths, benches, and playgrounds. The layout is intended to provide a small community of townhouses that will support life on the site and serve the commercial uses to the east. Access to paths and sidewalks, networks tie townhouses and daycares to the townhouse and daycare tie the playground to the rest of the development as well, creating a vibrant, active level of connectivity. So area 2 is 1.5 acres. It's located east of area 1, moving towards Airline Road, and this would be a office, 2 conceptual buildings with an office daycare use. Permitted use in this zone would be daycare, commercial office with jewel box retail such as cafes and small shops on ground floors. Conceptual plan indicates a single-story daycare building consisting of 4,500 square feet and 2 10,000 square foot 2-story office buildings. Area 3 consists of 1.45 acres located east of Area 1 and south of Area 2 moving towards Airline Road. Permitted uses will be similar to the previous area with office, daycare, and jewel box retail on the first floors. Similar building sizes as well. Area 4 consists of 2.5 acres located east of Area 2 and behind Olympic, moving towards Airline Road. Allowed use in this area is a hotel with a minimum of 100 rooms and a maximum of 130 rooms. Includes a footprint of a 4-story Courtyard by Marriott hotel. Conceptual layout is 19,000 square feet, which would work out as a 125-key hotel with exterior pool and amenities. The applicant states that the hotel is envisioned as both a retreat and an integral component of surrounding fabric, and it's located strategically to be close to Airline Road and the commercial areas. Interstate Commerce Overlay District. The Interstate Commerce Overlay District was established to limit the areas in which a hotel could be located. The provisions do allow for hotels to be approved as part of a PD at any location. The proposed hotel is outside of the overlay district. The hotel itself would be located approximately 1,600 feet from the I-40 interchange and 350 feet from the border of the overlay district. Area 5 contains 2.5 acres and is east of Area 3 and south of Area 4. Permitted uses in the area include retail, restaurant, and commercial, including infill for standalone retail and infill or standalone restaurants, and it's included but not limited to neighborhood scale with a drive-through. Area 5 includes 2 conceptual buildings, 10,800 square foot 9-bay retail building and a 2,800 square foot restaurant building. Retail spaces and restaurant are situated to the south of the hotel in close proximity to the office building, positioned away from the residential areas. These amenities will ensure convenient access to office workers and hotel guests and visitors while maintaining separation for residential. Excluded uses from all areas are greenhouse or nursery, automotive repair services, laundry service, gas, fuel stations, funeral homes and car washes, pawn shops, vape stores, and convenience stores with or without fuel sales. Deviation from bulk regulations may be allowed as long as development provides tangible benefits to the community. Base zoning is B2, office, and SC shopping center commercial. So this is an indication of departure from base zoning. indicated in red. We're not gonna- So, green space and amenities, open space provided is 22% of the aggregate square footage, 3.02 acre, which is 3.02 acres. It's contained in the residential portion, and green space is set aside as part of the non-residential areas as well. So effort is made to maximize commercial development in areas 4 and 5, and with green space increasing as you move west towards the residential. Landscape standards are set by the PD, giving strict guidance as far as how landscaped areas will be handled. Photographic examples of the landscape landscape areas include lush walkable greenery, creating outdoor space with the placement of path berms and landscaping. And as with other proposed sections of the PD, a high bar is set by the proposal that will be expected to be met at all the site plan stages. Phasing plan, the outline plan indicates that phasing will occur with all public infrastructure included in the first phase. And the hotel use, which is in area 4, will be developed simultaneously with area 5, with the retail in area 5, and with areas 1, 2, and 3 following. Architectural design, applicant indicates that architecture is a mixture of traditional, transitional, and contemporary in style that will allow for the creation of a vibrant and visually interesting community. Architectural styles for each building may or may not be repetitive to balance the cohesiveness and diversity of the area. And each floor within a building may vary in layout and massing to vary exterior architecture, but it will present a unified design and massing concept. And material percentages will mimic what's in our design guidelines. And there is character imagery provided for each area. And it does, character imagery indicates a high quality design, a mixture of contemporary and modern form with a traditional materiality. Area 1 indicates a mix of traditional townhome forms and more contemporary designs, all with a residential material palette. Areas 2 and 3 indicate a more modern form, softened with more materiality. Area 3 is similar to Area 2 as far as design. And Area 4 provides examples of hotel buildings with both the fabric of the other, fitting in the fabric of the other developments in Arlington as well as the other proposed buildings in the master development plan. Area 5 indicates more of an eclectic mix of designs for the retail, but all indicated as higher in materiality and form. Site layout and access will be achieved via an extension of Will Harris Road, constructed as part of development, as well as a proposed north and south connector road, currently known as Autumn Springs Road, which, if approved, will be constructed by the town of Arlington. The location of Autumn Springs Road, as indicated, is conceptual in nature, and as the design of the road progresses, relocation towards the west of development may be necessary to accommodate the overall success of the area served by the road, and staff will continue to work with developers to ensure a positive outcome for all. Site layout, north-south connector road, types are indicated as 1 public and 2 private streets. Public road types consist of 3-lane street with turn lane and 2-lane streets with a median. The transition between public and private streets in the west of the Autumn Springs Road will require a space for turnaround within the public right-of-way. Street landscape standards are set by the plan, with landscaping standards set for each fronting condition. Traffic impact study has not been completed as part of the submission and will be required, as with all of our other developments prior to site planning. Pedestrian access, there are a network of sidewalks and trails proposed as part of the development. public sewer improvements, existing sewer line runs the length of the property. So sewer will need to be just reworked and have to be relocated to accommodate the Area 1. Stormwater detention, proposed detention will include a new plan to address site drainage, particularly on the southwest where previously there has been a sewer easement. The easement will be adjusted and will contain a bioswale to help retain slow and direct stormwater runoff while integrating with the existing resources. And the current layout does not specifically identify a site for stormwater detention, and if necessary, to comply with the Arlington stormwater requirements, areas within the site will need to be converted to open space for detention with a proportionate decrease in development area. PD objectives, the list of all the typical PD objectives, and staff, and it's all indicated in your staff report that it does meet all of our objectives. And as previously mentioned, the provisions allow for hotels to be approved outside of the ICOG. As part of a PD, staff's of the opinion that this area is the northern limit of the location of a possible hotel approval as part of a PD at this point, and the proposed quality of the development along with the conditions placed on the phasing in the development could serve as an asset to the area, and it will be important during the site planning process that developers be held to the intent of the master development plan and provide a product that meets these standards. And staff does recommend approval of this project, subject to conditions listed in the staff report and any other conditions levied by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And that completes my presentation, and we do have a public hearing required.
You've heard the recommendation of Mr. Crater. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Brooks.
Second.
Second by Mr. Biggs. Before we get into discussion, we do have a public hearing. Do I have a motion to suspend and open the public hearing? Vice Mayor McKee made the motion.
Second.
Mr. Biggs in the second. We are now on the public hearing. And this public hearing for Master Development Plan for Will Harris Cove on 13.9 acres, 93 acres off Summers Road. This was published in the Daily News and Commercial Appeal on May 13, 2025. Is anyone here to speak on this particular topic? I know we don't have any cards, but was anybody here? Mr. Byrd. Mr. Byrd's coming up.
Good afternoon. My name is William Byrd. I live at 5216 Summerlin Lane. I live right down from the back of Olympic Steakhouse. In that land behind from the Ace Hardware down to the Olympic Steakhouse, we have drainage dishes behind our house. They are draining, the water is draining into the dishes now. How are they going to do the drainage on that? Are they going to continue going to us since we are really undersized? Or are they going to put a complete new drainage system?
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. We don't usually go back and forth. We'll cover that maybe in some of the discussion here in just a minute. So, okay. Was there anybody else that had a? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to close the public hearing and motion to close the second. And we got a motion and a second. We're back on the main motion. So just for a little, we do have representatives from the project here, and I'll just give a quick synopsis of the PC meeting last month. I think myself and Mr. Brooks were there. Just so this board knows, I want to say that I got the feeling when this project came up, it was about 50-50 on the PC. They weren't really sure how they were going to feel, but as a lot of these questions that have been, the questions that were asked have been presented in with this, I think alleviated some of the concerns to where at least wanted to get to the board level. The consensus on the PC was that even though there may be one or two things that that's with any project somebody may not like, overall the project looked good enough to move forward. So I just wanted to give everybody that background before we get into the discussion. So again, we do have the developers here, and so if there's any questions, we can call them up if anybody has any specific. Who's first?
I will agree that it does fit the concept of what we're trying to do along Airline Road and some of the other projects that are falling in place. This one will add to the look that we're going after, so I like the project.
I'll go.
Mr. Biggs.
when I was first told about, is the developer here? or
Yeah, they're
somebody?
here. You want them to come forward?
Yeah. if
Yeah,
you
if,
don't
you-
mind.
if somebody representing the developer or the developer comes up and just, please state your name and address for the record.
John Halford, 9161 River Bluff Road, Millington, Tennessee. And I'm the architect, and I can introduce the rest of the team, but this is
Sam Patel, 9639 Grays Meadow, Cordova. I'm the owner of the property.
Okay.
we also have behind me here, there's a Sean Massey with the Shopping Center Group, and so he's representing the retail brokership for
Okay.
this project. And then Don Reeves is another architect from Connect Design, that's my firm. And then we've got David Bray here, which is the civil engineer, so we've got some technical support. if you have any
Okay,
questions.
cool, thanks. So when this was first brought to my attention, be perfectly honest, I was like, whoa, this is outside the hotel district that we established. And in my mind, I'm like, this is gonna be a no. And I was in Jeremy's office maybe two months ago, or 2 or 3 months ago, and he said, well, just look at it. And then I looked at it and I'm like, okay, let me take a step back. Let me think about this some more. There's things I really, really like about this. There's just a couple of things that I want to talk to you about that if you considered doing differently. One question I had, I guess, for Gerald. So we're told that in our material, this was a Courtyard Marriott, and so are we, because they're presenting it as that, can we legally, okay, so we just have to trust.
So it's an allowable use for a hotel within the parameters of the bulk regulations there, but we can't regulate what the flag, when that changes, we can change.
So do you guys have a contract?
I do have a contract.
You do
Yeah,
have a
and I've
contract?
shared that, and we were licensed, signed agreement already with them on it, yes.
Okay. The pictures that you provided of the hotels, I'm not on DRC, but Mr. McKee is, and I know him well enough, he's gonna hold you to those standards. That is really what some of us was maybe pushing for on some of the ones on the interstate. Those look really, really good. And I think one of them was the one in Germantown, if I'm the Hampton Inn there. So that looks really, really good. And so one thing that when I was reading this, I realized, and it alleviated another concern, is that you have to install all the infrastructure before you start the phases. So you can't just do the infrastructure to the hotel and not do the infrastructure to everything else. In consideration, my biggest ask is that, you know, normally we require 20 or 30% open space. This is PD, we can make exceptions, and you're all presenting 22% open space. The area 2 and 3, the buildings are up by the road, okay? And so you're gonna have people in area 1 that drive through this area to get to where they live. And then also you're adding back bike lanes, you know, there's sidewalks. And the way that you're presenting it with the median and the landscaping, this is gonna be a walkable area. And so my biggest ask is area 4 and area 5, could you not, maybe you can pull up area 4 and area 5. So could you not, instead of having the parking in the front, could you pull the hotel to the road and have the parking in the rear so that when people drive down the road, that's what they see? And the same thing with the area 5. I mean, those could be 2 really nice buildings. And it would be unlike the dermatology building we have, which is kind of stuck out there. And this would be in whole area, because area 2 and 3, you've done that. If you could just do that on those area 4 and 5 and bring those up to the road, I think that would just kind of make it more cohesive. It would make it more aesthetically pleasing when people drive to area 1. Is that something that you guys would consider making that change?
Before we get, I have one more question. To alleviate that, hey, I just do the hotel, not doing anything else, right? And I think that's been addressed, and I don't think it's been spoken of. There's been a stipulation that I have to do one of the other developments in conjunction or first before I even go for the hotel, and that's.
And that's after the infrastructure.
That's after, yeah.
If the hotel has to be developed simultaneously or after the retail or one of the other things.
Well, that was another concern that I had, because I was, in my mind, I thought, they could put the hotel in there, and then Area 1 might, could be, might not happen, whatever. So that was another concern. Again, going back to what I was asking.
I want to address, my name's Sean Massey with the Shopping Center Group. I've been part of much of the development, the Falls, and several other projects. Retail, people want to park in front. They don't want to park behind a building and walk around the whole building to get there. It's about convenience. We are trying to make it, we want it super walkable. The whole reason the hotel, and we're asking that, is that people can walk from the hotel to the retail, not only this retail, but also the parts up to the north, other retail and other restaurants. We're putting in the sidewalks, we're putting in the landscaping. But if you look at most retail centers and the retail centers around there, the parking is in the front. And that is what retailers are used to, and not having people walk from behind buildings at night or whatever. We want to make it safe, where people are walking down the street, you get out of your car, you go into the retail. We're just trying to hold it to the same standard that everything else in this area, and with a lot more walkability than the other projects because of the sidewalks and everything else that are put in.
The hotel pictures y'all provided, the hotel was up on the street.
Hotel, I mean,
I can speak to this. So first of all, I just, as an architect, walkability is, for us is, center. My group primarily, we design in urban environments where, again, walkability is number one. For both, and you can see if you're looking at the site plan, we've intentionally, as soon as we could, we brought the buildings to the street. And when I say as soon as we can, from more of a technical standpoint for the hotel, we've got some requirements for drop off, and so let's see here. Oh,
it won't work on the TV on the screen.
That's been a problem with technology for at least a decade now, that we can't use the pointer. Okay, here we are. So the hotel, we've got a drive aisle. So it's important just in terms of the amount of space that we have on the site. You see, it's not a very deep site. We have a drive aisle and a drop off that's part of the hotel standards, if you will, but it's more than just the standards. It's very functional in terms of where the guests come into the building and then where they go up into the core of the building. And so you've got that drive aisle that comes into the front, and then you've got the parking. I understand that there are concepts that can do it other ways, but that's with differently size shaped lots. And so we've got some constraints on this side, and in fact you can see in the number 4 there, the parking's kind of weighted, if you will, behind relative to Airline Road is weighted behind the hotel. Same thing for the parcel number 5. We're trying to accommodate the drive aisles necessary to be able to get drive-through for those two retail developments. And so where we have the folks coming in and driving, we do have a one-sided parking, again, to minimize the amount of parking that's up on the street. Yeah. And then they loop around, and we have put parking on the backside. We quite literally didn't have the we didn't have the space to be able to really load the parking on the far side of the
Jeremy, real quick, just on, he said something. You said on the drive-through for those on 5. Didn't we take the drive-throughs off of buildings that are, huh?
Not as of yet. That's that's a discussion that we had as far as taking off drive-throughs on the ends of buildings.
Yeah.
That's not a modification that we made.
Okay, I couldn't remember if we had officially. I know we'd had discussions.
We haven't officially done it. That was a discussion.
Okay.
So let me ask you this.
We could put that in the PUD requirement.
We can't put that in the PUD requirement.
I'm gonna go up here just so we're looking at the same thing. So you're saying the drive-through. You're saying the drive-through is going to be right there, right?
Correct. Yes. That's
okay.
Yes.
could you, I stay in a hotel in Jackson, Mississippi, and I have to travel down there, and this is what it looks like. Could you not at least eliminate this parking right here and put that on the back? Move that parking to the back. You can still have your drive-through, you can still have your parking that's right beside the drive-through, but you wouldn't have parking right up beside the sidewalk.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying, and the width of the drive aisle there is what's limiting us. The other thing that I'll say, and we do work in several cities and states and municipalities, and I know, you know, Arlington's problems are Arlington's problems, and other ones are not. But one thing that we really try to do is that all those kind of dark purple sections, we really try to weight those to the back. So that's going to be your pool and your other amenity spaces that you really don't want to be pushing up to the.
Well, we wouldn't allow you to do it anyways.
Right, yes, of course. So because of the drive aisle width and having to relocate those to the front of the building, I don't think we would, or I know dimensionally we wouldn't be able to accommodate that. The other thing that I'll say as I feel like a strong support for what you don't see when you would be driving down the street here, what you don't see in the site plan, unless you're looking closely, is that there's a lot of landscaping here. And that landscaping buffer is going to block the views, a lot of those views to the cars, and help to soften that edge to the sidewalk and the people walking, to where I think you're not gonna feel like you're walking just across, you know, a parking lot. You're going to feel like you're walking across a sizable buffer with regular street trees, and then you've got the sidewalk, and then, you know, a nice median as well. So I do think the walkable experience will be.
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm disappointed, because I really thought, and I'm not an architect, okay, but just looking at it, you know, it looked like to me that it's just, all you're doing is pushing the building up and pushing the parking in the back.
Mr. Biggs, can I make a suggestion? So we can kind of get a couple other people's comments or questions on the table and see if they all tie in, and then come back if they haven't gotten to what you're still trying to do. That way we kind of keep things moving, make sure that way, because some of these questions may get answered. So who was, somebody, I know there was a couple other people who wanted to talk. Mr. Harmon.
Yes. We spent a lot of time creating this area of the zone for hotels and a lot of stuff that we wanted to see near the interstate. And we have a lot of interest in hotels and such. And it's my understanding that a hotel can be put into a PD even though we have created an area that automatically gives somebody the right. So did we waste our time doing the first one? If things like this is going to come to us.
Ultimately, what that does is it allows you to say no, you know.
Right.
If they were just allowed in, let's say, SC zoning, you could put a hotel, then ultimately it would be permitted by right there. But outside of that to be in a PD gives you the right to say, yes, we think this is a good place, or
well,
no, we don't think it should go there.
Well, see, this is my concern, is if you agree to allow one on the outside of the zone, we're going to have 15 others around the perimeter want the same thing. And at what point can we say no if we approve the first one? Now, this is right here near a neighborhood. We've already had a lot of flooding issues down there that we're trying to get right. I'm sure there's a lot of people that live in that neighborhood, you know, are expecting us to. And when you put a large project that close to this neighborhood, and I'm sure all the runoff and everything's going to go that direction. Am I correct?
No, our ordinances do not allow them to discharge any more water that already discharges. So basically, whatever water comes off of that site now, that's the only water they're allowed to take off. So that's why they'll have to either detain or handle their stormwater in other ways. And ultimately, the plan is that, you know, projects like this are gonna start to improve those drainage issues that are along there, including the drainage that will be installed as part of this proposed north-south connector road and all of that. That's gonna start to pick up that drainage and carry it south down to the creek.
Yeah, Mr.
So-
Crater, thank you for, I was gonna get on, I'm glad you explained it, because I was gonna ask Gerald or Kathy to explain it, but yeah, that's, Mr. Hill's not here, but we've said that when we talked about this road discussion, that as that road goes through there and development happens, the improvements are gonna be made outside and above and beyond what anything that we may or may not be able to do just with it being
Correct.
private land as it is, so.
Because at this point now, there's no infrastructure in place to carry it down to the creek.
So-
You know, so this new road and these type of developments will install the infrastructure to carry it down to the creek.
Sounds good in theory, just whether or not it's gonna happen.
It wouldn't be a theory because it would be required as part of the site plans.
Yeah, Mr. Hill would have to sign off on it on our end, and,
Including the plans that Mr. Hill is drawing up as we speak for the north-south connector.
okay,
Which will handle some of those questions being asked right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Harmon?
I think we need to, just be careful about, you know, just how much we have come in.
Well, and then I'm not trying to argue your point, but it's kind of to your point about what Mr. Crater said about the plan development, how it can go in there. We put that in there as a board, so we would have that flexibility to make those decisions instead of just having open zoning all throughout town. And this is what that's what decisions face us as a board. And I mean, I look at this area, and we already know the developments to the north of it are pretty much kind of planned out somewhat. There's only one little pocket over there in between, right next to Summers Road, but basically everything across the street, Baptist has theirs, Providence Place, Kroger, and then so basically this corridor kind of takes, this almost kind of fills up this corridor besides one little other parcel, so. But those are decisions that we get to make as a board. So, I mean, I'm thankful we put in the terminology that we have the flexibility to either say yes or no instead of yes or all no, because some things come before you. I had one question, I'll turn it over to Mr. McKee. The townhomes and the thing said 2 to 3 stories. I would assume that 3 stories would mean that there would be garages underneath possibly. I mean, because on a 1,300 or 1,400 square foot house, so, I mean, townhome. Okay, that's all I know.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Crater, is there a way to pull the slide up where it shows it in with the behind the where it's at on the property?
As far as the overall, like the aerial?
Yeah, I was thinking there was one slide that showed like
There it is.
there it is. Okay, thank you. The section 5, the I guess that's like a shopping center area that's right behind Campbell Clinic. Is that just one story? I don't remember, I may have missed that, but it's just one story. Okay. I know there were some restricted uses on there, and these may be as well. I just saw those, but like storage facilities, smoke shops, CBD things like that.
Those are all mentioned, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Storage is mentioned, yes.
Okay. Then, now that this is really less of a developer question and maybe more to you and to Gerald, now that this road seems to be potentially coming to fruition, that's going to be the north-south corridor, that appears to me that that's going to probably tie into how Hawthorne changes its entrance into that development, and, or maybe they've already looked at that. And so it kind of it would change the way that Summers Road was originally being thought to be used. And so is there a way to look at having the red light, et cetera, that we were looking and talking about? And maybe don't remember exactly what we had discussed, but putting the red light to that spot so that it drives the majority of traffic there and not to Summers Road.
So ultimately, how it's planning to work out right now with Hawthorne in mind, this north-south connector is going to terminate basically between two of the main entrances onto the Hawthorne development. To the east of those two main entrances, there's gonna be a large roundabout kind of right at the Summers Road, where the Summers Road is gonna make the bend back to Airline Road. There's gonna be a large roundabout there. So this road, this north-south connector will, at this point, Steve doesn't see, from a traffic standpoint, that a light would be necessary at that point. Right now, you're looking at probably a three-way stop, which would be a traffic break at that point, would slow people down. And ultimately, the way Summers Road is gonna be designed, it's gonna come back, and there's gonna be another offset going into the neighborhood. So it'll force people down through the Hawthorne development, or up the north-south connector, or out the Airline. There will be really,
I think, maybe I'm talking about on Airline Road.
it's gonna still, it does that, the light will still be on Airline Road, yes, that's
But
all,
where-
none of that's gonna change.
But have we decided, or has it been decided if it's going to Summers or if it's going to here?
Both, I think, eventually. right?
Both eventually, but initially, it will go to Summers Road. That will be the first one.
Depends on, yeah.
Are we gonna look at if, now that, if this were to be approved, would we relook at that if the two lights is necessary? Because I
That's
feel like,
part of the traffic study, they'll be required to put that data together, and the traffic study will determine whether or not a light will be required there initially, or at what point of the development will require a light. That's all gonna be determined by the traffic study.
could we also look at it, we may have to do it ourselves, but to look and see whether the Summers Road light is necessary if this one has a light? I just feel like there's two lights gonna be on top of each other is the biggest concern.
Well, and ultimately, the location of the Summers Road interchange, the connection back to Airline Road was placed in a way that would allow for the two lights. That's
Remember,
why,
Summers Road
that's
is gonna
why
come
it's
farther
landing
south.
where it's at.
Okay,
I believe the Kimley Horn traffic study for Hawthorne showed that it needed.
okay.
I think it's gonna be
Okay.
needed, and Summers Road, remember, you're seeing it in that picture there, but it's gonna come farther south, closer to the bridge.
Okay, okay, thank you. And then, Mr. Lawson, for mine and maybe Mr. Harmon's clarity and maybe reduce or increase some heartburn, we'll see. But if this is approved, are we setting ourselves up for a precedent that requires us to approve a PD in the future if they were to bring this, someone else were to bring something in another area?
Every PD is unique, so the information that having a piece of property is the same, so you have the consideration, I would say you have the option to make different decisions, but I would say that it would concern me a little bit if you start making multiple approvals on it, that it may be, you have less of a reason, if they're similar type property, why not?
So if the next project comes across that's essentially adjacent to this property, and somebody says, well, we want to do the same thing, and we say no, because we haven't approved 3 or 4 in a row, we just approved one.
But it may be a difficult, I mean, if they're adjacent properties that lay out identically and, you know, have very similar layouts, designs, and proximity to, as Alderman Harmon said, proximity to the residential, then, yeah, it might be a little difficult to ascertain what are the differences between the decision on one and the other.
So having a PUD restriction and allowable to say no doesn't allow us to say no?
It does. It does. What I'm saying is, every PUD is different. This PUD could be completely different than a PUD that would be on the south side of the, I'm gonna use the Donaldson Road interchange. We only have the two north corners. We did one, if you recall, on the industrial residential PUD on the southwest corner of that, and we allowed hotels in that industrial and commercial PUD down there. But again, that doesn't have close proximity to residential, was gonna back up to industrial, and so, the decision of where y'all wanna put them is up to you, but yeah, I mean, I'd be remiss in saying that if you didn't take into consideration very identical type developments, that you might have somebody challenge that.
It don't have to be identical, though.
Doesn't, no.
No.
Doesn't have to be.
But there's certain criteria that they could argue that if it's similar to this one, then you could. I'll finish up with this, and it is that the location, if we're going to approve this, I feel like this is the location you would approve this under a PUD approval for this type of use with a hotel. I said I was going to close out with this, but I lied. If the idea, and Mr. Crater and I met a couple times around the architectural intended architecture on it, and you know, I talked to him, I said, I think that a PUD, if it's approved, if a hotel's included, it needs to be more of a boutique upscale scenario so that it separates that PUD compared to just in the hotels district where they're meeting just the general guidelines of our design review. Mr. Biggs is correct in that I'm on the DRC, and I love that committee, and I take it real serious. So if it gets there, I look forward to seeing what you bring to us. The townhouses, I noticed that 4 of the pictures provided had individual roof lines versus essentially a large rectangle box with outsets. I think the DRC would love to welcome the ones that you show 4 of versus the 2 of. It's funny how many times people love to put multiple pictures of the higher standard stuff and then they bring in the lower standard stuff. So I would just say that things that are architecturally unique and higher end on that would be welcomed in the project if it were to get approved. So, you know, that being said, I think that's all the questions and concerns that I had.
Okay, back to my drive-through comment a second ago, do we need to make a condition if approved? I don't know how we want to word that, because I know what we were considering before. Do we want to say that it's staff discretion? Do we want to say it's at,
I would prefer a condition if you don't want it.
A condition, I'm saying, I'm saying, because we were talking originally about what? Individual buildings, not strip malls because of the way the cars queue and everything like that. So is there a size building to where, because like we've got Chicken Salad Chick right now that it's a long building behind there and it's not done, but you take a smaller building like a 2 or 3 bay like Starbucks and it creates a problem.
The drive-through at Firehouse is, smoothie drive-through. That one is a 3-bay building. And I would say that the drive-through functions okay, but you know, if from an aesthetic standpoint, is that the aesthetic that, you know, to me, I think the function of the drive-through could be designed in a way that would work, but it's more, in my mind, it's more of an aesthetic thing. Is that the aesthetic that you guys are looking for in this bud, you know?
Mr. Massey.
Oh, I just want to kind of talk about, since I'm doing most of the recruiting I'm doing Hawthorne all the way up to the Falls on recruiting retailers. With a lot of the retailers that you guys in Arlington are requesting we brought chocolate smoothie, Chipotle, Starbucks, it's not going to be a fast food type of drive-through. It's more a chicken salad chick or a tropical smoothie. They need that pickup. They do so much of their business through the drive-through. That soccer mother coming in does not want to go into the building. We just wanted to create a couple of very simple drive-throughs. They're not high performance. It's not for like McDonald's or Raising Cane's or some of that. We just wanted something where people can come by and pick up their meal and not have to get out of their car. And I think with the landscaping and everything in plan, you won't barely able to see the drive-through and kind of allow the project to develop. Those are the type of retailers that are looking to expand into Arlington to get, you guys have been great. The overwhelming demand for chicken salad chick, tropical smoothie, Chipotle, all our clients have been great, but those are a few of the tenants that I'm talking to right now that are looking at it. Also, from the hotel, I'm recruiting hotels. I was in Las Vegas last week recruiting hotels for Hawthorne. Great location along the interstate, but some of those hotels, if you're on the interstate hotel line, people are not going to walk up to Chicken Salad Chick. It's just too far. So having the interdisbursement of hotels throughout the project, and I think at this location, allows the retailers to benefit from the increased traffic and more increased marketability and walkability of the property. And I'd love to have your consideration on that part, but I'm open to hear answer any questions about retail that you guys may have. But it's, Arlington is a overwhelming, people want to be here. We just got to bring product that they are ready to move into.
And from a drive-through standpoint, I mean, Mr. Lawson, I mean, we just kind of had the same thought. Like Chipotle is a good example. Chipotle is a 100% pickup. There's no menu boards, there's no anything like that. And it's very sparsely used, and if it is, it's through and pickup. You know, so something like that, maybe we condition the PD to where it's for pickup only. We don't allow menu boards and things like that.
It's a mobile aisle, like mobile app aisle.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I just want to make sure that we don't end up with something that some new, by the time this is built or something, some new concept where there's a McDonald's that's attached to a building and it's a, you know, that type building. So I know that's probably not the way it's going to happen, but I still just want to make sure if this is the time to get it, we get it right.
I mean, even Olympic, as Angela just said, even Olympic's got a pickup window.
Yeah, that's a freestanding building though.
It is a freestanding building, but you know, just to say, you know, that's why I'm thinking that, you know,
If it's
I
a
understand.
pickup.
I mean, I think a regular, you know, fast food drive-through, high volume drive-through those don't make any sense on the ends of these buildings. Tropical smoothie, they had to reconfigure that to actually make it work.
I'm fine with that. If we need to make that a condition, just something to make sure it's not.
Make it
I'm
where
trying to
it's
keep
a-
it from fast
where-
food.
Make it where it's a pickup only, not
Yes.
a drive-through ordering
True
aisle.
drive-through.
And then make the condition that no board,
No menu boards.
no
Yeah.
menu board, yeah.
I'd like to, I'm sorry, I'd remembered as we're chatting. Mr. Biggs, I would love the idea to see the hotel come forward, especially like one aisle. But I'll also say as a family that does a lot of traveling for youth sports and things like that, and you show up at, 9 and 10 o'clock at night, man, it's nice to see some parking in the front area of the hotel, and crossing your fingers that it's not all taken. But also just that, you know, as you got family and kids and stuff and you're trying to get them in, that's what comes to my mind, because I've stayed in some places where I wish there was a little bit more parking on the front portion of it for my family as I'm coming in at 10 o'clock at night and all that kind of stuff. So I love the idea as well, kind of like with Hawthorne, I mean, not Hawthorne, but Thornwood, where that is. But I would tell you that we've got some friends that own some retail businesses over there, and one of their struggles is that they wish there was more front access and not everything through the rear. But anyways, just giving a different perspective.
And I would be with you on that too, if the road wasn't cutting right through the middle. If it was like multiple buildings. I mean, I love what you're saying, but if it was like the Thornwood or Providence, where everything's kind of together and you could park around back or in the middle or something like that, but it's with that road through there, which I think is the key to that whole development, is that road.
All right. Can I go back? Can you
Oh,
come
yeah,
back
yeah.
to me?
He's back to
I wasn't done.
When you get past us too.
Well, you always go last, I know. And I just wanted to verify, on Area 1, is that gonna be gated? Is that gonna be like a gated townhouses?
Townhouses, I think the initial discussion was
We-
they were, but I'm not sure.
It depends a little bit on how the road lays out. We're still working with the city on that.
The scenario that you have here where the road sort of cuts the property in half, the plan was that the townhomes would be gated, but now the newer design of the road moves the road back to the west, and this road kind of runs more here. So that makes them start to make less sense as gated, so that makes them want to move up closer to the road and be more of a downtown type of feel. You know, and that's the plan also south of here. They're proposing, and north of here, they're proposing maybe townhouses with more of a pushed up on the road, kind of downtown feel, rear road type of thing.
Okay.
So it's a different concept, you know.
So I like that part.
Which would be this road that kind of, on the western side of this road would be a more residential feel, but it would be more residential that was pushed up close to the road.
I really would like that to be gated, just because of the fact, those are gonna be people's homes, and they're right beside office space, a daycare, and commercial space, they should have some privacy, I guess, and not people wandering from the hotel into the townhomes. So, I'd like for you to take that in consideration. And then, if you could go to Area 5, the pictures that they were showing, because I kind of caught something that Jeff, kind of the same thing along Jeff's lines. The bottom left, that is a big no, fabric awnings, and green windows and doors.
I think you could use the falls, and Mike Patel's for Tropical Smoothie has probably examples of what we would do very similar.
Okay. That's just one that kind of stuck out to me. That would kind of stick out in Arlington. That's,
Well, this is all from,
Written that it does fall back with the ERC guidelines.
yeah.
but this is, I want to say most every one of these pictures, or several of these pictures are from Saddle Creek and Germantown. I would say overall, we would welcome most anything that's out of that development. I know what you're saying for local lime right there, because
Yeah.
it kind of sticks out just by itself on that picture, but in the entire development, it's a different feel, and so it's a very upscale development out there. Anyways, just,
Like I said, I would use the falls as kind of a model, something there or better.
I was gonna say,
Not
Yeah,
better.
let's go better.
Better, yeah, I wouldn't compare it necessarily.
And as the architect, I would reiterate our commitment to making sure that this design is something that's A, consistent with Arlington, and and B, a next step for Arlington in terms of quality. We're not looking to do anything that's iconic. We're looking to do something that's very substantive and a good project that's in line with the design review board.
And in our discussions, we discussed that, the Falls was a step, then Providence is a step, then Hawthorne's gonna be a step, and you guys are coming in after that, so, these have to, these all have to get better as we go along, that's kind of been the plan all along.
the townhomes are intended to be sold, correct? Not lease
Can we
management?
make that a condition?
Okay.
So,
You'd have to make it one.
Can't.
I don't know.
But I mean, that's the only way. If you say they're going to, that doesn't mean they have to. We've already went through,
Condition on the townhomes, can they be conditioned to be for sale, not for rent?
no.
They can put a condition. They can impose a private restriction. You can put a condition. If they choose to add a private restriction, that they would be, for sale and not for rent.
So they can put that in their,
CCR.
they can put that in their own, in the conditions themselves?
Patel? Mr. Patel?
We would sell it and it'd be developed a homeowner association.
Okay, so they can be, y'all can put that into the development restrictions yourself?
So, and like Mr. Biggs's words, I'd like you to strongly consider that. Mr. Good. Mr. Biggs, you still have something else?
I just want to say, I'm kind of disappointed to hear that you can't move the hotels up in the area 4 and 5. But I've not voted for a single hotel that's passed, okay? Except for voting for the district in the Hawthorne. But this is, what this is requiring of you guys with the infrastructure, as far as the median going down the middle of the street, median's gonna be landscaped, the roundabout's gonna be landscaped, and the fact that Arlington taxpayers aren't gonna have to pay for this section of Autumn Springs Road. That's part of y'all's responsibility to develop that part of the road.
Wait a minute, you better wait on that.
The Autumn Springs Road will be built. The connection road coming out on Terrace, they will be constructing. But
So
if
we're
the
constructing-
town builds the other part, the town, if approved of the project, y'all not completely approved, but if design approved, that will be built.
Remember, that's part of our TIF district.
Well, I knew it was, but I thought that this, okay.
No, we agreed to have the study done. That's all. We didn't agree
I think
to
that's
do
why the
anything.
map reflected two different colors, Mr. Biggs.
Okay.
The sections being built by the developer and the section being built by the town.
And it could depend, if I'm not mistaken, on when and if someone else comes in before y'all. It could depend on the road on that.
If
if the town chooses not to do it, or if the town's timing
That's right.
did not work out and the developer wanted to build it, then they could.
That's true.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Mr. McKee?
Yeah, you remember, I think it was 2 years ago, and Mr. Patel, you probably know this, that, that's when we did do a moratorium on hotels and gas stations. And the reason it was done, because we felt it was best for the town of Arlington if we located hotels. And I thought we done a real good job. Matter of fact, everybody was happy with what we done. And the question that was asked to Gerald about setting a precedent, you know, you can't open the door up for a lawsuit, we know that. Just, be realistic, we can, if we turn something down after we pass something. It does not mean that we will be liable for anything, but it can open the door more often. I am not for an hotel in this area, I never have been, and I just, to me, and I think, let me just ask you straight out, is it a deal breaker? I heard it wasn't.
No, in our last meeting, I said it wasn't. So I bought this land before the moratorium came in place, right? And then the moratorium came in place, and so I was like, all right, now how do we sort of develop this land and get it to a point? And so that's where we came up with this idea with this PUD, and talking to Jeremy and his team, hey, I'm a belief that, honestly, where this location is, I don't think I'm asking for anything that's out of the ordinary. I mean, we're still in the commercial corridor. If it was, I get it, if I'm, 2,000 feet west, right, into the residence, and hey, let's do something in the middle of here, yeah, this would be a crowded room right now for me, right? I still think, yeah, the boundary could have easily been up to Milton Wilson, right? Like objectively looking at it, right? And maybe where that center line is right now of our roundabout up into that to Airline, and then obviously anything out east to where Providence Place and all that is, right? So I didn't think that this was that big, right? In terms of, hey, I'm not asking for the moon here. Brand was a big thing. That's why I went ahead and secured the courtyard brand, because you couldn't develop anything else that the fear is, if you will, at today's construction prices, nor would you. So no, it's not. I think it makes the development more tougher, obviously, because then you're adding just more retail to everything. I think it's a good mix, just looking at it, and I get it. I'm the one asking for it, but objectively speaking, I think it's a good mix of everything that plays into it.
I really like the PD, but I'm just not supportive of the hotel, just because I can remember how it was 2 years ago when we were happy. We spent a whole year studying where we wanted them at, and this is not an area that we would have let an hotel come into.
From a point of view, the alternative use to the hotel on that side is more retail, and as Terry
Well,
knows,
that's just one of the things it could be, not necessarily.
There's not a lot of other
Recreation could go in there.
recreation, yes.
Yes, it
sir.
could. A
From the
rec
economics
center,
on the
many things could go in there.
With all and again, I'm involved in Hawthorne and doing that part, and one of the things on there, like we were trying to put mixed use of, and I shared a number of articles with the mayor and with Terry of how important mixed use, but we're just trying to put demand drivers for the retail that's there and for the retail that's already to the north. We're gonna have more retail coming up on the north side, on the Whitmore Park parcel and some other tracks. There's only so much retail that we have. We need demand drivers to be part of that. I know a lot of thought was maybe put in like, hey, let's put the hotels down by the interstate, and there's gonna be 2 hotels down by the interstate at the Hawthorne development. But sometimes putting where people can walk from the hotels to the retail become very important. There's gonna be retail where those hotels near down on the interstate, they can walk to some retail, but we need retail drivers for the retail that's taking place that will happen next to the Ace Hardware, just south of the Falls. You got a development there. You got, we were talking about the office park turning more commercial there at the Falls. There's a lot of retail. There's only so much we can have without going to big box retail, which is not what we want in Arlington. I do think the hotel fits into what mixed use means in terms of putting uses together and not segregating them into sections.
Well, there's some other areas around there. Are you saying they probably won't have retail?
What, no, there's gonna be some more retail.
Yes, there are.
But there's not, but we're off the main road. There's only so much retail.
Right.
The area with, I mean, to the population of Arlington grows, and it will, but there's gonna be more retail over at Providence Place and other places to the
And there's a
south.
hotel at Providence Place that's walkable
Yeah.
too.
Right, so,
That's just my concern, that's all.
I understand. I'm just trying to, on that part, but we do need to put drivers in for retail.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I don't know, he said he shared some stuff, I must have missed, I don't know what he shared, but no offense, I know you and I emailed back and forth, but I never saw anything if it was there, so. I'm talking, so when we talk about driving retail, or when we were talking about some businesses, Mr. Crater and I drove around the other day around town, and what type of because everybody we talk about Franklin, we talk about Cool Springs, we talk about Madison, but again, I think until you really go drive some of those places, you're really looking at nice buildings. Sometimes you're looking at a nice Walmart, sometimes you're looking at a nice Petco. I mean, you don't always know, it's not just all high-end stuff, so the hard part from our decision is just trying to make sure the quality of what's there is going to be able to support the businesses that are around there, and there is too much retail, in my opinion, too. So that's where it's the hard balancing act. I mean, I would love to see a rec center. I don't know if a rec center, on a high dollar value place right there would go. So I was like, going back to planning commission, I think the board was split. It ended up passing pretty unanimous, with the exception of one. And I think it was just because it wanted to get to this point to see if this is what the board was willing to vote on. So if there's I'm just trying to get everybody's comments out. And I think we've had a chance to get around. Does everybody? We still got a long agenda in front of us, so.
Oh, is this not the last one?
Yeah, this is first one. So, anything else?
I'm gonna rein it back in. So
Okay,
we
go
were
ahead.
actually talking about a concept,
Mhm.
and we're here designing the entire project off the cusp of our hips. Are you okay with the concept of the project? That's what we're asking here.
Yep, and there
Are
will be
you
changes.
okay with the concept, not the entire design, the exact layout? We don't know the exact layout. We don't even know where the road's gonna go.
This is all conceptual.
Are you okay with the concept of what he's bringing forward? The conceptual idea, if you don't like it, vote no. If you like it, vote yes. Get it back to what we're talking about. We're getting way off in the weeds where we shouldn't be in the weeds, wasting everybody's time when we need to go back to the concept. They're asking for the conceptual idea. Are you okay with the conceptual idea or not? Get back to the basics of what we're doing here.
And to round that off, where does it go from here, if approved tonight?
If approved, this would be the last step. It's an approved plan development. They have the entitlements and it's approved tonight.
Okay.
The next step would be development, site planning, development agreements to start the actual development process.
Mike, one quick question. What's the minimum acreage on a planned development?
10.
10 acres? Okay.
Minimum on a mixed use is 10 acres, and this was 13.93 acres.
Okay. All right. Seeing no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
We need to do a roll call.
Alderman Harmon,
No.
Alderman Barker,
Yes.
Alderman McKee,
Yes.
Alderman Brooks,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McKee,
No.
Alderman Biggs,
No.
Mayor.
Yes.
Passes 4-3.
Thank y'all.
That really surprised me. Mr. Biggs was just saying he hadn't voted. He made it sound like he was about to vote for it. And then
They were no on everything. Every request I had, they were no on.
you were like,
You just had two
all right.
requests.
I guess so.
Item C, Resolution 2025-23 to authorize the transfer of funds for Phase 2 of the Welcome to Arlington signs. I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Owens and try to roll through this. That's fine.
Please.
I need water.
I know, that's nuts.
Can we get a,
Do they have water?
Okay,
let me find out.
shorter than they are. It's loud. Can you, is it too loud? Do I need to step back? Can you hear? Okay. All right, so this is gonna be item C,
and it is resolution to authorize transfer of funds for the Phase 2 of the Welcome to Arlington signs. We did do Phase 1, we've completed that. We have completed all of it, even through the landscaping. So this is asking you to set aside money. We do have a little bit of savings from Phase 1. So we're asking you to set aside an additional $171,398, which will be a total of $200,000 to complete Phase 2 of this project. Phase 2 does have some right-of-way acquisition, and so we will be bringing you a contract in August to begin this project. So staff does recommend approval.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Biggs. Discussion.
This is for the signs?
Welcome to Arlington signs.
Yeah.
I know that, eastbound 64 is one location, is that correct? And eastbound 70 is another location, I think.
Yes.
And I could not remember what the third location was.
It's either Forest or Memphis Arlington, I can't remember.
Forest.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's Forest coming in from Fayette County.
Oh, okay, 4th Street, okay. Cool.
All right.
I was asking.
Any other questions? Think we know what they look like. They're a good look. Appreciate it. Seeing no other questions? Mr. McKee, do you have anything before you get back up here? No? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes.
You didn't have a first or a second.
Item D, Resolution 2025-24, of the Town of Arlington Municipal Corporation and the State of Tennessee creating an assigned fund balance in order to ensure fund availability for the purchase of covered storage equipment for Public Works Complex. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. So this is a request to create an assigned fund balance. We have talked about this covered storage for equipment at Public Works for the last 6 years. This will be the 7th year that it was proposed in the budget. It is something that we cut from the budget, so we would like to be able to pay for this from our fund balance. The total of the project is $325,000, and we would like to complete it during next year's budget cycle.
Mr. Perkins is here if you have any questions.
Yes, and in your packet, you're also provided the quote with all the details and pictures.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Brooks. And also, no, this was one of the things that was in next year's budget that we pulled out to help try to adjust the tax rate down and get, okay. Just want to make note of that. Any other comments or questions?
It's something they've probably been needing for the last
Maybe.
8 to 10 years.
Yes, needing it for a while. All right, seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Next up, I'm confused on my
So we
thing.
need item E now.
E. I wrote over all my letters, so I'm making sure. Okay, that's C, D, E. Okay, E. Resolution 2025-27 to authorize Mike Wisman in his capacity as mayor to enter into a contract with VUCON LLC for construction services at Donaldson Farms Parkway. Mrs. Owens or Mrs. Durant, whichever one.
I can take it and she can
Go ahead, Mrs.
tag
Owens.
team if I missed something. So we've been talking about Donaldson Farms Parkway. The contract was originally approved back in 2013. We are finally at the phase to do construction. We did put this out to bid. It was published in the Daily News, and TDOT website and Town of Arlington website. We did receive a total of 7 bids. The lowest responsive bidder was VUCON, based off the total base bid in $4,985,325.50. And we do have TDOT concurrence for this project, so staff recommends approval.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Barker.
Second.
Second by Mr. McKee. Discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Next up, item F, I guess I got on mine, is 2025-29. I changed the letters on them
That's
to
right.
move them back. To authorize Mike Wisman's capacity as mayor to enter into an agreement between the Town of Arlington and Kimley Horn Associates for professional services for the Town of Arlington Tennis Center pedestrian improvements. Mrs. Owens.
Yes, sir. This is a request to enter into a contract with 2 different companies, Kimley Horn and then Tioga Environmental. And it is for the professional services, including the NEPA and design phase of the tennis center pedestrian improvements. You did approve the contract with TDOT for this project back in January. And we had shown you a concept at that point, but staff does recommend approval for this project.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Biggs, second by Mr. Brooks. Discussion.
A question on that one, Kathy, is that where we were looking at they're gonna extend the road further on down at the same time?
So.
From over around where the homes are?
They'll pipe all of the open ditch drainage along Memphis Arlington and along Milton Wilson. And it will add curb, gutter, and sidewalk. So this is considered a pedestrian improvement project with TDOT. But it will add some laneage so that when you get to the intersection of Milton Wilson and Memphis Arlington, you'll have enough room for 3 lanes.
There you go. So that'll extend on down, because right now when they get through up at the developmental center, there'll be a
Yes,
lane
sir,
all the
it'll
way
match up.
down to there.
Yes, sir.
So it
matches
will
up.
go the rest of the way.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? There's much needed improvement over there.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item passes. Next up, item G. Uh-oh.
Switch
Okay,
PowerPoints
okay.
for just a second.
First reading of ordinance 2025-05 to adopt the town of Arlington's actual tax rate for 2025.
Yes, sir. So bear with me. Some of you guys have sat through my finance committees all the way through January, so you may have heard this before, but I do think some of it's very important to the public and also staff that has graciously stayed that maybe have not ever sat through a budget cycle. So we're going to start just the certified tax rate. There has been a lot of discussion this year. It has been a reappraisal year, and there has been some misconceptions of what a certified tax rate actually does. And so I do have some quick highlights on here. The certified tax rate is typically only calculated during reappraisal cycles, and that's calculated by not only the city, but also the county assessor and the comptroller of Treasury's office. And it's reviewed by the State Board of Equalization. It does represent the tax rate needed to generate property tax revenues consistent with the prior year, but it does not freeze taxes where they are. That has been something I've had to explain several times, so I just wanted to make sure that that was put on the record. Because there are specific statutory requirements, we do have outside parties such as CTAS and MTAS. Ours would be MTAS for Municipal Technical Advisory Service, and they assist us in that if you ever need help with the calculations. The certified tax rate can only be exceeded after the notification and the holding of a public hearing. Typically, you are doing that part tonight, but since we had a delay in calculating our certified tax rate, the public hearing to exceed our certified tax rate will not be until June 23rd. Again, that's the first time it's ever happened in my 12 years of being here. It's just a timing issue of when everything was calculated and being able to publish that notice of intent. It does require the local government to conduct that public hearing before you adopt a property tax rate that generates more taxes. So you will hear in June 23rd, you will hear the notice of intent public hearing before you do your second and final reading and your public hearing on the actual tax rate. So we will still be able to comply with that part of the law. It is codified under TCA code 67-5-1701. Sometimes that is referred to as the truth in taxation law. The law requires counties and cities to determine a tax neutral rate using the new appraisal values after adjusting for either new properties or properties that were removed from your tax roll since the prior year. It's intended to make sure that higher reappraisal values do not automatically result in a tax increase. We have calculated our certified tax rate. We have approval by all parties. It's been submitted for formal, it will be submitted for the formal determination to you all on June 23rd. We are going to propose that we exceed the certified tax rate. The budget that we have put together to present to you all tonight does require a higher tax rate. And you will also have that public hearing and second and final reading on the tax rate and on the budget on June 23rd. So when the county undergoes a reappraisal, The CTR, which is how we refer to it, is meant to ensure that we don't just automatically get a tax increase. We must actually take an action. The CTR ensures tax collections remain constant in total. However, individual taxpayers may pay more, the same, or less in reappraisal years. Individual taxpayers may experience an increase or a decrease in their taxes based off the property value compared to the overall county growth. Arlington had, on average, growth of 28%. Doesn't mean everyone went up only 28. Some went up a lot higher, some didn't go up as much. So if your property's value grows more than the county average, your tax bill may go up. If your property value grows less than the county average, your tax bill may actually go down with that certified tax rate. Again, I know we're not talking about certified tax rate today, but I thought it was really important to have that conversation before you talk about the tax rate you're gonna approve. Proposed, yes. This is our workbook. If anybody wants to be bored with all the knowledge, I'd be glad to sit down with you and explain it to you. But after all the calculations are done, our adjusted certified tax rate came out to $1. It's 1.001787. These are the attachments that go along with that. We also have different assessment percentages based off of what type of property that you have. All of this information is available on our website along with the county assessor's website. And then I've had a lot of questions about how our penny of the tax rate's calculated. So I just did a quick little formula up there. It is recalculated every year. It's based off your real property, your personal property, and your public utilities, which is gonna be your state assessed properties, is also known as public utilities. So the current tax rate for 2024 was $1.28. The proposed tax rate for 2025 is $1.13. This is proposed to be a tax rate decrease of 15 cents. However, it is a recommendation to exceed the certified tax rate by 13 cents to support essential services and capital investments. The capital investments this year are roads. Roads and drainage is all that capital investment is. This careful approach ensures that the town remains financially sound while continuing to invest in public safety, infrastructure, quality of life improvements, and Arlington Community Schools. So staff does recommend a tax rate of $1.13, and we are available for any questions that you may have.
You've heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McKee, second by Mr. Barker. Let me give a quick prelude, just because I feel like this needs to be said. There's a few people, I want to, first of all, Brittany, I know it's Brittany and Kathy have been working the majority of this, but thank you so much for your work. It's been, this has been the most grueling or intensive, I guess you would say, intensively discussed budget, probably in my tenure that I've been here. And it's not even the one that we've ever considered the largest amount on. And so, it's just kind of, I guess, the times we live in right now. So, but I want to thank all the staff here. I know it's been a long night, and hopefully we won't make it too much longer. But that's kind of what I wanted to get into. I just want to remind everybody that we've had 6 meetings, public meetings on this. We've had 4 finance committee meetings. We've had a BMA meeting back at the beginning of May where we went back to the drawing board to a work session. We've had time to talk with staff. We've had the information back and forth. So I just want to make sure, I mean, so tonight, I don't know where everybody is, but I'm assuming that most people already pretty much know where they are on the board. And so to just try to, let's try to respect everybody's time and not rehash everything going back to January in the beginning, because the process, everybody's been able to be involved in the process. And just in saying that, we all have a passion. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer on however you vote tonight. I mean, because, I mean, some of it may be because you want certain things cut out. Some things, you may want certain things put in there. But I mean, I was sitting there thinking today, it's kind of like my personal budget. If a tree grows in my driveway and breaks my driveway up, it's my choice to not fix it and drive over it every day or drive around my yard and all that until I have to sell my house. We don't have that option as a town as things break, as things grow and all that. So that's, and with the cost, I mean, just knowing talking with Mr. Perkins about the cost of road paving and asphalt and all that. I mean, that's eating up the majority of our costs, and that's eating up the majority of our complaints too. Not to mention sewer and the other projects, and more grass and more fertilizer to cut and more lawnmowers to mow. So, I mean, again, I respect everybody's decision, no matter how this comes out tonight. I just want everybody to know that we have talked about this extensively, and the public may not know that, because I see the comments on social media saying they're coming in tonight with their mind made. Well, it's because we've been talking about it for 6 months. And so I just want to do that. And just a couple things that I did say. I mean, I've seen some comments about fund balance and stuff. I don't know if you've mentioned it or mentioned it in the next one. There's some confusion on that. Sometimes they'll see that we put money in there, but correct, like last year, we put $2 million into fund balance, and but we spent $3 million.
So last year you were projected to spend $5 million from reserves, but due to the department head sitting here saving us some money and some additional revenue that came in, you only spent $3 million, but you still spent $3 million from reserves. We did not put any money back last year.
Okay. That's really all I had. I just wanted to kind of get a few things out, kind of some housekeeping to hopefully kind of keep us on point, kind of, so Oscar doesn't have to pull us back here in a second and do the same thing.
And there will be another meeting.
And this is only the first reading.
Yes.
There will be a second reading, as Mrs. Owen said. And we actually, I mean, even though this is setting the tax rate, we do have the budget next, which is pretty much same thing we discussed the last 6 months. So who wants to speak first, or comments, questions for Mrs. Owens, Mr. Durant? You ready to vote?
I'll start it off.
Okay.
Mr. Lawson, if there's a no vote again towards the tax rate next month when it comes, or in 2 weeks or whatever, when we have our second reading on this, does that affect how someone's vote can be or what they can do in that scenario?
You talking about they vote no tonight? Mm-hmm. No, you can vote no tonight and vote yes on the second one.
All right, say that.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you talking about overall vote or an individual vote? So,
And then individual.
vote? No, yes, doesn't.
All right. If it doesn't pass tonight, what's the process of getting a budget done before the end of the month?
I don't see how we could have one done by then.
Because you got to have 2 readings of an approved vote, correct?
You'd
So-
have to pass a continuation budget, so we'd have to bring a continuation budget before you on June 23rd, which would be the exact same budget you have right now, at the $1.28, and then we would have to hash that out and get it voted on as quickly as possible after June 30th.
So if it says a continuation budget,
It's $1.28.
at $1.28, it's actually,
$1.10, it's actually $1.
it's at,
Yes, sir, and
it's at
the
the dollar.
longer that you wait, I don't want anybody to feel pressured, but the longer that you wait, so the Shelby County Trustee's Office typically mails out your tax bills the end of July, the first week of August. And if they print them at a rate and then we ask to reprint it, we will have to pay all of that cost. And we also will have to pay for any additional cost that delays the mass printing, so that's just things to consider.
So couple weeks ago when we had our work session, what changed from the conversation in what's being proposed for this additional 3 cents over, we were having the conversation about paying more out of some reserve money to keep the tax rate at $1.10. So I'm trying to figure out what's being
So we
proposed for us not to pay for it.
Sure, at the work session, we originally proposed $1.16, that's where our budget was at. And I may have misunderstood, so please correct me if I was wrong, but when I left that meeting and when several staff left that meeting, you were the only one that had told us you wanted it at $1.10. And the mayor had told everyone to come talk to staff and let us know their wishes. The only other person that talked to me about $1.10 was Mr. Biggs. So I didn't hear from anybody else,
So I think, yeah, from what I recall, I think $1.10 came up.
It did,
And
yes.
we said, what can we do to get us closer to $1.10? And look at, and see what staff can bring back, and everybody get with staff during this last few weeks after the work session.
Right.
And it didn't say, our goal was to get to $1.10.
No, when we had our conversation, it was, we had come up with the 6 cents worth of taxes in those capital projects.
We did.
And
We
to
saw
come
that.
down to $1.10. My question is what are we not paying for that's
You didn't
popping
change
us.
your street aid transfer.
We actually have
drastically.
more in street aid, correct?
So the things that cut from $1.16 to get you to $1.13, was you cut the $325,000 for the covered storage, and then you cut an assistant chief's vehicle, and then we were able to put a little bit of the difference, it was like $105,000 back into street aid transfer
And then,
To get you to $1.13.
to get you to $1.13.
but when we were what's the value of, I guess that's 6 cents? Because when we had that, slide up where it showed all the, some of them were capital, some of them may have been some street, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Street aid and capital, yes,
But
sir.
it was whatever that 6 pennies of value of dollars. I felt very upbeat about coming out of the meeting that the majority of the board was kind of on the same page, and maybe I'm just a lone wolf on it, and that's fine. I lack self-awareness sometimes, and I understand that, but I really felt we were walking out of that meeting going, hey, we found a good way to do this, which is we want to pay for the storage building, we want to pay for these things, but we want to kind of test ourselves a little bit and go, hey, can we still find a way to do this? Because we have, voted on different commercial projects, which I also spoke my frustration about with one of the developers continuing to not pull through with what that we had agreed and proposed and approved. But I'm still, I guess, very hopeful and positive that those things are going to continue to come, and we're going to continue to see the increase in sales tax and other things. I think we owe it to ourselves and to our taxpayers to go, let's just be honest, 2021 and beyond, if you make, I think I heard a figure the other day, if you make, essentially, you need $103,000 of income to make up the same amount of money and expenses in 2019 that 65,000 covered. And I'm just trying to do everything in my power and work with, I really don't want to be the bad guy, but I tend to turn out that way sometimes, and I apologize. But I really am trying to figure out a way to go to the taxpayers, man. We're all trying to figure out how to squeeze this and move a little bit of shell game to have the money to be able to do that, so that, yeah, I know it may not be a lot of money every time, but we're about to get hit pretty hard with Shelby County, because I don't have faith in them to do the right thing either.
So the decision is this board's, and staff is here and can answer whatever specific questions you have when Brittany actually gets to the budget portion of this. $1.13 is squeezing us tight on a shoestring budget. So basically what you have is a maintenance budget. There's no room for the rolled back roof on the safe room and other unforeseens at $1.13. At $1.10, it gets even tighter. At $1, you have to remember, 15 cents of whatever you adopt, it goes straight to the schools. So you're asking the city to run at 98 cents. And that's to run everything that we do, special events, parks, programming, senior citizen center, library, public works, public safety, because you have no other fees on top of anything, right? Everything comes straight out of the general fund. So you're squeezing your general fund so tight that we have nowhere else to cut but streets, which is one of the reasons Terry's been very proactive about making sure he got Milton Wilson taken care of, and he and David and I worked very hard on what can we do to improve Airline Road with the balance of the budget that we have left, so that we at least are correcting some of these problems down Airline Road. You're setting yourself up at less than $1.13, whatever that figure is, because it's your decision, that staff may have to come back to you between reappraisal cycles for a tax increase, and that's all I have to say.
Well, and to that point, historically, this board has not really wanted to take up tax increases in non-reappraisal
Well,
years.
next year's election.
And so historically, that's been the case. So to your point, where if we do have more sales tax coming in and we have more construction going up, which I know we have to back some of that out, so we can't factor that into the tax rate. I mean, it's at the will of this board. There's never been an appetite with this board. It's at the will of this board where if say this was adopted tonight, next year we say, you know what, we were wrong. We can go back and we can lower it or we can raise it at any time. We just never have because nobody ever wants to. And it seems like, and then that's where we try to get to, when we get to this 4-year cycle where we're trying to predict the future instead of basically dealing with it on a year-by-year basis, which some people, I mean, there's some municipalities that completely avoid it during reappraisal year, but then they'll do it the next year because they know it's a volatile subject right now. So we have to look at it and just do what we have to do as best. But I mean, just remember, everybody's remembering, no matter what's adopted tonight or what ends up being adopted after the second reading, we have the will as a board to higher or lower it at any time if people are willing to do that, whether it's an election year or not, and that's where we got it, you know, so that's what I'm trying to say.
That puts you right back with the same conversation with the public, how to justify it with the public. I wanted you to know the only thing left in fire is health safety. I mean, it's just a couple of safety items that have to be replaced because they're expired and because it's just an absolute necessity. That's all that's left in fire other than operating and maintenance. The only thing left in public works is a diesel 2500 pickup because they have to have it to pull some of the other equipment around or it's gonna burn up some of the trucks you have. It's the only thing left. The only thing in parks is parks maintenance. And the big ticket item that he has is he had done a parking lot a year for several years. And we got our parking lots where we want them to be. And now we're doing walking trails a year. So certain parks get certain playground resurfacing or walking trail resurfacing, whatever that looks like. You have something in parks that has to be done every year. That's all that's in parks. In general administration, Brittany,
I have 2 finance positions proposed, and then we have the $20,000 to the cemetery maintenance are the only 2 items.
And then you have the transfer to street aid. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, if this was, there's no fluff.
Well-
If there was fluff, I would have if it was my budget, I'd have pickleball courts in there. But I mean, that's just, I don't even play it, but I think it was something, I would love the town to have it.
And she's
We
And I
just
think
don't
it's
have it.
important, yeah.
She's got a slide here in a minute that's gonna show you the fluctuations in your fund balance and why.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that we have already cut $2.8 million from this budget to get to $1.13.
The question I have is,
Go ahead, Mr. King.
4 years ago, we were $1.28,
Yes, sir.
and the certified tax rate came in as what?
$1.13.
And it ended up being $1.15 when we
And then
got
the
through.
next year, so
So that's
there-
13 cents, right?
Yeah, so the one thing we haven't talked about is after the first year after
That's
a
right.
reappraisal, there is an appeals allowance that happens, so a lot of people may come and appeal their property. So this time next year, we're gonna be recalculating our certified tax rate, and you could have a recapture rate. In 2021, that happened, so
It went 2 cents, I believe it was.
It was $1.15.7, so
Right.
between $1.15 and $1.16 is what it ended up being
So it's basically 15 cents, right?
when you started.
What it
Yes, sir.
was last, but what is it this year?
In
It's
2024, it's
13 cents?
This cycle,
It's-
not
it's
this year.
12.
This year is
This
over
year it's
4
13
years.
cents.
This is 13 cents, so it's 2 cents less than what it was 4 years ago. And I think Chief Harville made the longest comment in the whole meeting. Because he challenged all of us not to go down to 128 because he took their money when we added another fire department.
Yes, sir. So you had originally gone up 22 cents for a second fire company. And then the next year it happened to be when our reappraisal happened and we were able to come down on that tax rate. And it ended up being 15 cents over instead of 22 cents.
And the last part of that question, I met with Terry 4 years ago. You know, Jeremy put in some more, recommended some more money for street aids, if you remember. But 1.69 is about what you're running every year on streets. Is that correct?
A little under that, I think.
A little under that. But 4 years ago, compared to what it is now, what's the cost of the asphalt? Is it doubled? So that means you're gonna be doing half the amount on the same amount of money, is that correct? I mean, we need to sit down and talk to people that has the departments, because it's going through all the departments, not just his. And
Certainly, it takes about 30 years to the way we're at to repave roads. Of course, we're trying to make them last longer.
And that's ongoing.
Yeah, and that's without new
But
roads.
to Mr. McKee's comment about sales tax, we spoke to the comptroller at length on Friday about, budgeting and sales tax and schools and a lot of things. And one of the things he pointed out is sales tax is down statewide. That has a lot to do with the, federal, uncertainty.
And tariffs.
And people not feeling comfortable spending.
Mr. Biggs?
Couple things. Last 4 audits, not budgets, but audits, going back 4 years ago, local sales tax was $800,000 more than what we budgeted. Next year, local sales tax was $900,000 more than what we budgeted. Year after that, local sales tax was $1.1 million more than what we budgeted. Year after that, which is the last audit we got, it was $600,000 more than what we budgeted. Which, if you think about all the commercial growth, that would be an expectation, and that it would continue to grow. Each of those years, took in $3 million more than what we spent, $2.5 million, $3 million, and then the very last audit we got was $2 million. Yes, we did spend out of reserves. It's in the audit. You can pull it up. It's $2 million. Yes, we did pull money out of reserves,
Sorry, you did.
but that was planned. That wasn't like something that we didn't plan to do. That was something that was planned in the budgeting process. We have continued to have expanded commercial growth. What is not even, we don't, just in the last year, Ace Hardware, a new larger Kroger, several new restaurants. So to me, it's unrealistic to think that that sales tax revenues are not going to continue to grow up. I understand that statewide, we've gotten information that sales taxes are down, but I don't think that's going to happen in Arlington, not with Louisville City and the continued growth that our town is continuing to see. The other thing that is important to me, we have $19 million in reserves. And so, to me, when you have $19 million in reserves, that's more than an adequate cushion for any type of emergency situation that come up, or even if we did have a slight downturn in the economy. So, you know, why have the $19 million reserves if we're going to raise people's taxes anyways? And then I mentioned this in the work session that we had. You know, I think some people think that our competition is Lakeland and it's Bartlett and it's Germantown. I don't think it is. Our competition is Oakland and it's Atoka, because when families move from Arlington, that's where they're going, and they're going to get away from higher taxes. Just today, at the gym, guy stopped me, we kind of talked about all this, and he said, well, we're probably gonna start looking for land in Fayette County, because it's just not that they don't love Arlington, it's that they're trying to get away from higher taxes. So to me, I thought when I came to you guys the day after the work session, in my mind, I let you guys know, Alderman McKee did say at the end of the work session that, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what you supported was $1.10 with the plan that was up on the screen with what would we pay for out of reserves. So when I met with you guys the next morning, the $1.10 was my compromise, because I wanted something lower than that even. I thought, you know, I'll compromise, I get to $1.10, and then I heard what Jeff had said at the end of the work session, so I was kind of surprised when it came back at $1.13, to be honest with you. But, you know, I'm just being transparent. Like I told you guys the morning after the work session, to me, $1.10 is as high as I can go, and I'm gonna stick to that.
Ms. Owens, did you have any, I mean, I know there were some numbers thrown out there. Is there anything that you wanted to respond to?
I
or-
think it's important, just as the schools presented earlier in their budget, how from fiscal year 21 through 24, cities and counties and state, and we've all seen an influx of additional revenue due to the ARP funding, due to COVID expenses. For a year and a half, we couldn't purchase any equipment, we couldn't get people out here to pave roads. We had savings in fiscal year 21. And so our fund balance in those years is very similar to what the schools presented to you earlier, where we did put money back. But I can tell you over 6 million of that is strictly from ARP funding, whether it was the county or federal, and there was stipulations on that money. The stipulations was you could use it for a loss of revenue, which we did not have a loss of revenue. We were very fortunate during COVID as our city because we had grocery and medical, and those were the two things that skyrocketed during COVID. Was everyone went and bought all the toilet paper and all of everything from the grocery stores, and then you needed more medical supplies for everything going on in the hospitals, right? So we benefited where we didn't lose revenue, and we did not lose businesses like other cities did. However, we were still fortunate to get that additional funding, and the stipulation that we used it on was there's a caveat in all the ARP funding that you could use that money for an additional building to be able to spread your people apart because of COVID, and that's where we had started with that, and that's where we started setting it aside in committed fund balances. This is going to be for a new town hall. So it is important to know that 6 million, you guys last year we had 6 million in that committed fund balance, and we spent 4 of it to purchase that new land off of Milton Wilson. So yes, the additional money was there. We also had one-time revenues, which are presented every budget cycle. They're also on our website. The last 10 years worth of budgets are on our website. The last 11 years worth of audits are on our website. Where you get development fees. So all of this stuff that has been approved, you do have the development fees. But you also know that a lot of things that have been approved, they have their own timeline as to when they can get started. So I think Kroger, we originally talked about Kroger in 2015, and they said they were going to be open in 2017. We had 2 groundbreakings, and then they opened up in 2024. So yes, we have seen some growth. I do have a chart. I showed it at the work session. I'll also show it in the budget presentation, where sales tax has gone up and the percentage you're relying on property tax has gone down. So the biggest thing that you would have to cut if we wanted to go to $1.10 tonight would be your transfer to street aid. I will tell you as the finance director, I don't feel comfortable because you have about $5.8 million in that fund balance. You just approved a $4.8 million project for Donaldson Farms that we will have to pay out, and then we will have to wait on the state to reimburse us our 80%. That's going to overlap many years. You also have talked tonight about Autumn Springs Boulevard. You're going to have to take out debt for that out of general fund because street aid doesn't have any borrowing power. So those are a lot of projects. You also have the I-40 interchange that we're talking about, all the aesthetics we'll have to do. I know that we have been very fortunate that the state's come back and said, hey, we had additional funding to be able to do this project. So most of the bridge project will be paid for, but we will have to pay for any additional things we want. You have a signalization at Arlington Trails and Airline right here, right in front of this gas station. You've talked about 2 other signalization things going on tonight. So there's a lot of things in street aid that are happening, but it's also
Airline Road, signal at 385 and 70.
Yeah.
There's any number of things, but
I think the town center was
getting back to when you
talked about.
reviewed development. We just heard that development on Airline Road, Will Harris property. So when you look at development like that, it's real important to understand what kind of businesses bring in sales tax dollars and what kind of businesses don't. So we have a lot of doctors, we have a lot of dentists, we have a lot of attorneys, we have a lot of realtors, we have a lot of things, haircutting places, nail salons. We have a lot of things that don't bring sales tax in, banks. So Mr. Biggs mentioned larger Kroger, Ace Hardware, a few new restaurants. That's great, but that's really all you have that's bringing any more retail sales tax dollars. So you have to balance it out. What do you want to see in your city? Do you want to rely more on sales tax, which is great? All you really need is one big box in here, and we wouldn't be having these conversations ever, because you'd be less reliant on real property. And that's the balance that cities seek. So Millington kind of has that balance. Bartlett kind of has that balance. Georgetown Carterville kind of have that balance. Right now, Arlington's just not there yet. So we're still heavily reliant on real estate taxes, but not as much as we were 5 years ago. Not as much as you were 10 years ago.
Or even last
So it's
year.
starting to tip, to balance, but we're not quite there yet. So we need to see all of this stuff go vertical. So anytime you look at a development, ask yourself, is it the kind of things that we're gonna be collecting sales tax on, and is that beneficial? Hotel tax is beneficial. That's been a game changer. How much money do you have budgeted next year for hotel tax, which we didn't have 4 years ago?
$350,000.
$350,000 that we didn't have 4 years ago. So there are things happening, and we are accounting for that. We're not ignoring that. Sales tax is also very economic driven. So it's real hard to project it exactly, and it's real dangerous if you over project. You heard also on the school's presentation, she budgets expenditures aggressively, but revenues conservatively. We do the same thing, because if you over budget that revenue stream and your directors have already spent the money, we have to eat crow and come back to you and say, whoops, guys, we over projected this, so sorry to tell you, but we've already gone over, and you're gonna have to go back into fund balance to help us balance our budget. So those are all things for you guys to take into consideration when you look at development projects and when you think about revenue streams.
Well, and that's kind of back to that fund balance. We talked about that, how we need to revisit that policy, because 19 million is close to what we have, is close to what our budget is. So until we revisit that fund balance policy, then it's really not even a discussion.
And it's not 19 million after they committed
After you
tonight.
just committed everything tonight, you're gonna be at 16.8 for undesignated, which is less than 100% of what your budget's proposed. It's about 92%, which, talking to all of you guys at the work session, you seem to be okay with going below the 100. So it's not 19. I've heard 22 thrown out there. I've heard 20. But all since July, we have been setting aside committed funds, assigned funds. You've been paying for projects. It's also very important to note everything we've paid for in cash, because most cities can't pay for things in cash. I know our debt percentage is 3.2% this year, which is almost unheard of. 3.2%.
Oh, that's lower than I thought it was.
Percent this year,
That's 3.4.
which is unheard of in cities, but we have been fortunate to be able to pay cash for projects. I do have a slide in our budget presentation that'll show you, where we started in my tenure and then where we are now. But after you did the assigned fund balance for the Welcome to Arlington signs and the covered storage, you're at 16.8.
So, to follow up on that, how much do we have when you uncommitted, committed, and assigned?
Can we put this vote on hold
So can you
and
table
go
it?
to her budget presentation and then come back to this vote, Mr. Lawson?
Can we
Table
Let's
it.
table it and
table
go
this
to
till
her
after the budget
presentation.
okay.
It was a chicken or the egg, which one came first on the
Okay.
agenda? So
Well, let's go to item
Well, can I get
H.
that question answered first?
Is
I
that-
have a slide
I
that's
think
gonna
she was about to
answer it.
show
It's
it.
gonna show that to you.
So all right, we're gonna table item, was that G, item G that we were on, and we're going to item H, for first reading of ordinance 2025-06 to, the Town of Arlington annual budget compensation fiscal year beginning July 1st and in 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026. Mrs. Owens, I'm trying to talk like an auctioneer.
Okay, so budget presentation, again, this is being proposed at $1.13. I have tons of slides. I'll be able to answer your questions, and I'm gonna try to get to the highlights and the important stuff for this. We do have 4 funds we present on every year. It's general fund, which is your operating, state street aid, which is a special revenue, solid waste is special revenue, and sewer, which is an enterprise account, which also means a business account. So it is being presented as a balanced budget at $1.13. The revenues and expenses would both be $18,192,059. The capital items that remain in this budget are $20,000 maintenance of a cemetery, $90,000 to replace 2 cardiac monitors, which I believe are outdated, or they're expired, not expired. They're expired,
Well,
so if
they're
that
not
is,
expired, but they're, out of cycle. It's hard to get maintenance and parts.
so that's an emergency
safety.
expense, yeah. We do have $55,000 for an emergency drone program through our fire department.
Also health safety.
Which we can also answer some questions about. $65,000 for that diesel truck, and then the transfer to state street aid would be 3.425. It is important to note that once you transfer money to street aid, you can't transfer it back out. We do revisit that total every year, and so those are the only items remaining in this budget other than the 2 positions that are proposed for finance, but those are not considered capital items, which is why they're not listed on this one slide here. This is just a breakdown of your general fund revenue. It totals out to $18,192,059. You'll see on here your biggest revenue sources, and I'll show you it on a chart in just a second, are your taxes. It's property taxes, state shared, and local taxes. Each penny of the tax rate this year is going to generate $86,215.53, and that is if you adopt the $1.13.
And that's only calculated by property tax, real property.
Real, personal, and state assessed.
That's all.
Yes. So here's a chart. It'll show you that property taxes are still your largest source of income. And forgive me because I have my notes on here to be able to tell you the percentages that it was last year. So the property taxes, you'll see at 45.6. The local sales tax is at 35.8. And your state share taxes is at 11.75. Most of your state share taxes are per capita, so that's based off your population numbers. Our last certified rate for population was 14,549 people. And those don't get changed until you have a special census or until you have another federal census, which is in 2030. So.
No, there's a new law that may change that next year,
Yeah,
but it won't get federal money.
Right, right. The other revenue that you have coming in, you do see your investments, which is going to be your money that's making money. So those all your CDs that you have right now. We have a little bit of miscellaneous. Your stormwater fee is the only fee that is in general fund outside of your tax rate, and that's federally mandated because we're an MS4 community, and that money has to be obligated to things that prevent or that can be proven to be used for stormwater. This is the chart we showed at the work session. So it shows the percentage of the budgeted sales tax going up and the percentage of the budgeted property tax revenue coming down. So those are offsetting each other. And you can also see back towards 2017 where it was the opposite, where your sales tax was down and your property tax was up. Some notes on revenue. You did have an increase in real property assessment, 25 million. An increase in personal property assessment is 3.3 million. Last year, you were down in personal property by 27 million. So that number fluctuates a lot. You did have a decrease in your utility assessment this year of 8.2 million. That's state assessed property, and that's mainly because they can challenge it every year versus every 4 years. The current budget does project your certified population. Sales tax is consistent from prior years. However, there is a statewide decline over the past 2 months, and that has affected Arlington, even with our new growth, because we have several businesses that are reporting 20 to 30% decreases based off of the move of Kroger. So while we are seeing it consistent from prior years, as of right now, today, the last 2 months have been down.
Overall?
Overall, yes, sir. Interest rates did increase over the last year. So if you looked into the audit report last year, you had about $500,000 worth of extra revenue from your interest alone. And interest rates have started to decrease. So those CDs are locked in for a year. They are locked in now lower than what they were. So you'll see a slight decrease, but the benefit has been you've also had a little bit more money in your savings. So we're hoping not to hurt too bad from that. There's also a major change that's affected us with business tax law. So it used to be that if you made less than $3,000, you were not required to have a business license in the state. If you had between $3,000 and $10,000 worth of revenue, you could have a minimal license, which meant you only paid $15 to the city, and that was your tax for the entire year. Anything over $10,000 was based off of your revenue, and it was charged at the rate of whatever classification you were in. So Class 1 had a different rate than Class 4. There's been a state law change that went into effect January that says anybody less than $100,000 only has to pay you that $15. And that's all that you're recouping from those businesses in the year. So we won't know the full ramifications of that tax law until April of 2026, because at this point, everyone had paid on the old rates for 2024. This is your tax rate history, all the way back to 1988. You started at $1.75 as far back as I've got on my presentation here. We went to $1.20, then the board had gone down to $1. Since 2012, we did go up 15 cents. That's when our formation of the schools happened. And you were required to give 15 cents to the schools, which is why we went up 15 cents. It is important to note that in 2013, which was a reappraisal year, the state of Tennessee Comptroller's Office wanted the city to adopt $1.25, and the board did not, because at the time they did not feel like 25 cents of a tax rate increase was justifiable. We didn't have as many expenditures. We were able to make it work on $1.15. In 2019, you'll see that 22-cent increase, and that's when we hired our second fire company. They started in January of 2020, 6 weeks before COVID, I think. And then in 2021, we had a reassessment. So we came back that year when we were adopting the budget, and we were able to drop that tax rate by 9 cents. And that was due to some growth, and it was due to sharpening some pencils. And I had a lot of people that didn't want us to propose $1.28, but that's where I think Kathy and I even butted heads, because some of us wanted $1.30, and we ended up at $1.28. So we've sharpened our pencils as tight as we can, and that we can feel comfortable with you guys. And it's $1.13 is what we've proposed. That does restate your certified tax rate right there. Here's the breakdown of all your expenditures. Again, it's a balanced budget, so it's still that $18,192,059. Here's your breakdown of where the money goes. You will see that transfers to other funds, which is only street aid and solid waste. So you have that 30-year post-closure requirement that we have to transfer so much money to solid waste. This is the last budget that you will have to transfer that money in. But that is 19.2% of your budget that you're transferring out just for those two funds. 5.87 goes directly to education. I think in operating expenses this year is where we have the chamber, and we also have the $20,000 for the cemetery that's proposed. So that's all money going out. Your debt, we only have 2 bonds in general fund. The last payment of this piece of fire equipment happens this year. We already have a fire piece of equipment on order that's not scheduled to be here till April of 2027, unless they delay us again. But you will take out a bond for that one. So you'll typically always have some type of bond for a piece of fire equipment. The only other bond that we have in general fund is your Forest Street campus. And that fully is paid off in 2037. Still, it's a pretty low interest rate. It's 3.02%. So proposed, you did have some unexpected hits to us this year, which made us cut from departments even more. $175,000 increase for ambulance services. We did talk about ambulance fees at the work session. And after talking about it with you all, it's not something we wanted to consider this year. It's not, well, it didn't do what we thought it was going to do. It was unfairly shifting tax burdens different ways because you do have so much vacant land in Arlington still. It does propose 2 new positions for finance. My entire 12 years of being here, I've never asked for a new position in finance. And our workload has more than tripled. I'll be happy to answer any questions about those 2 positions. Cemetery maintenance, of course. We talked about the cardiac monitors. We talked about the drone program. Manual control doors for the fire department. It does create 2 new departments in this budget, which is planning and recreation. There's no new positions in those. We're just breaking them out to be able to better track how those departments what they actually cost us. And then the last 2 items up there are the resolutions you just approved, which would get us the covered storage for Public Works and the Welcome to Arlington signs for Phase 2.
Now, that ambulance service increase, that's a reoccurring expense that you cannot pay for with non-reoccurring revenue,
Yes.
much like we talked about with schools.
And may I add, it's also in the contract that Bill Lawson's aware of, it could increase up to 15% annually.
Yes, sir.
And let's remember, I know we're not on the motion yet, but when you were talking about where things went up, we used to not pay for ambulance back until
Correct.
when Chief Franks was here about 15 or something, they started charging, and originally it was 300,000, now it's gone up, it's over doubled since
Paid
then.
a
So,
third party
yeah. So,
contract for ambulance when Franks was here.
It wasn't quite as
Rural
high as
Metro.
that.
Some notes on expenses, it does decrease the transfer to other funds by $178,000. We did cut $2.8 million to be able to balance this budget and present it to you tonight. Our debt service is 3.25%. Again, those are the 2 payments that you have right there, the amounts for next year. The current breakdown of fund balances, so your unrestricted will be $16.8 million. The committed and assigned that you have here, you currently have $2 million committed for a future town center. You have $2.1 million for the assigned fund balance for the town hall expansion, which is under construction. We are all moved around if you haven't seen us yet, but it is going great. The assigned purchase of the covered storage just took place. The assigned for the Welcome to Arlington signs just took place. And you also have approved an assigned fund balance for the LPRF Forest Street Park. That is the matching grant that we were awarded through the state of Tennessee. And that should take place in next fiscal year. This is the chart that I think would answer your question, Mr. Biggs. So you had asked total committed, assigned, and undesignated, what do we have? And it's 22 million. The highlighted in yellow is the amount that we have to be able to spend on anything that comes up. So you may have, like right now, we have the roof for the safe room, which we'll ask you to acknowledge in a little bit. But those will all come out of your undesignated fund balance until you have insurance settlements. This year alone, we had to purchase 2 pieces of fire equipment. We did get some money back from insurance, but it did not cover the full expense of those 2 pieces of equipment. And we've had to dip into that undesignated fund balance. So over the life here, so back in 2015 is when I officially became recorder treasurer. We were about at 11.8. You'll see we went up to 2018, putting money in, and then we spent almost everything that we had put in, and that was because we were able to do the fire station 2 and pay cash for it. We were able to do tennis complex and paid cash for it. This year alone, you have been able to, you've purchased many pieces of property over the years and been able to pay cash. This year alone, you've repaired the 2 Chester Street bridges. We've been able to do Hall Creek Sewer, which is in a different fund, but we've been able to do all of that with cash. It also helps you with your bond rating. If you ever are to borrow money, to have that, to be able to pledge, it also helps you with your grants. So a lot of things when you submit for a grant application, especially in street aid, they're looking at that money you have available to be able to fund that project, because they don't want to award in a grant and you not be able to match it, and that money could have gone to another city.
You also have to be able to cash flow it.
Yes. I will tell you that on Highway 70, if anybody remembers Highway 70 being widened, projects should have been closed out in like 2020, and I just got my last reimbursement in 2023. So sometimes it does take you that long to be able to get your money and recoup all of your costs. So this is the change in fund balance that's happened over the last 5 years. So you'll see these are straight from the audit reports, but I do think that it's important to know the context of where that money came from or where it was spent. So in 2020, we had about 2.5, 3 months really of COVID that year. So you had a change in fund balance, but that was when you were wrapping up your phase 2 and 3 of Forest Street Park. We also wrapped up tennis complex, and we were wrapping up, or we weren't wrapping up, but we were working on Fire Station 2. In 2021, we put $3.1 million into reserves, and that was mainly COVID money. We got some county ARP funding that year, and we actually got 2 batches of that. And then you also had all of your loan proceeds come in from Forest Street campus. So we had expensed that money, and then we had to do drawdowns. It was a 3-year drawdown period. So you had money coming in from that. In 2022, we put $3.5 million in reserves. Again, COVID, federal ARP money at this point, we were past the state and the county level. We received about $4 million from the federal ARP that's over 2022 and 2023, so you'll see about $2 million in each of those. We also sold the land of the airport property where MIMDIT and all of that's happening in 2022. So that was an additional money that came in. In 2023 was about $4.5 million. The majority of that was your federal ARP money, but that's also the year that we had a full year of hotels that were opening in 2023. So we were able to see some of that revenue that you don't really know how to budget until you see it coming in to know how much they're going to bring in each month. But the biggest savings in 2023 was actually your departmental savings. Some of that was timing, and then some of that was, we've been, for the last, I know, since I've been here, we've been talking about our capital improvement plan and putting money back to pay for projects. And I think that sometimes our departmental savings are hoping that if we save some money, we get that money. Because we have conversations with staff all the time that if that money goes into reserves, it's not your money. But we'll still make sure that we can try to get you on the project list. So, and then last year, you actually spent $3 million. That was for the purchase of the land over off Milton Wilson. We spent around $4 million on that. So you kind of got a savings of almost $1 million because we had the additional revenue that come in last year on that.
And departmental savings.
Yeah. And you've had departmental savings in every year. Most of it, when you see departmental savings, is because we have vacancies. So if you have turnover and you have like a 6-week lag before somebody else starts, you have that salary savings, you have that health insurance, you have workers' comp. And then you guys know fire went through one year, we had about 14 people. We replaced about 14 people, so we had gaps in some of that. So most of that's your departmental savings. Some other money that you've had come into these fund balances is also during COVID, your insurance company paid out a lot of dividends because you didn't have as many claims, right? So people couldn't go anywhere. We didn't have as many employees traveling. We were right around town. Things like that. So some of that money is savings from insurance that you've received. Here's your departmental chart. This just breaks it down where everybody has their own percentage. The 2 additions this year is recreation and planning.
I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it.
No, I was gonna make sure that was on my notes on those. The one thing I do want to note on this chart, just for anybody that doesn't know, general administration actually covers legal, engineering, auditing, elected officials, administration, finance, and human resources. So it's several departments into one for general administration. Your street aid, not going to hit too much on these, but I will answer questions if you have them. Street aid is balanced. Revenue coming in, the majority of your revenue, 74%, is from your transfer from general fund. Your state gas taxes bring in about 11% of your revenue. Airline Road at Arlington Trails and Donaldson Farms, the blue and green up there, those are estimates. They are low estimates, but that's based off the timing of when you're going to get that revenue back from the state. Street aid expenditures, your majority expense is your repair and maintenance at 38%. You do have some raw material and signage, and traffic signals and contractual services there. Your second largest in street aid, third largest, is actually your utility services. And most people don't know, but it costs about $500,000 just to pay the streetlight bills every year. So that's a big expense that, if I know you guys have felt it at home, we felt it at the city, but there's been an increase in electric, there's been an increase in gas, there's been an increase in water, all affecting the city as well.
Can I ask a question on that?
Can you ask a question if we have a
I'll wait
motion?
till, I'll wait till
Sorry.
the end, go ahead.
Sorry, so proposed for next year, we are doing construction for Donaldson Farms Parkway. We're still in the NEPA phase for the airline road signalization and airline at I-40. It's gonna give us about $1.7 million for street repair and maintenance, which I believe was asked earlier. We also were able to pay last year cash. We were able to pay $1.4 million for the streetlight conversion that took place. So all of those little heads that were switched out to the LED lighting. Some cities are still repaying that. We have paid in full. So the savings of $500,000 is to replenish your fund balance from that, but that doesn't mean you can't spend it. It could be spent on projects. And then this budget also proposes paving of Milton Wilson from Hazel Ridge to Chester. Solid waste. Typically, this is a balanced budget. This year, we are proposing to spend from reserves for $250,000 to buy a claw truck. The 95% that comes in is strictly fees that residents pay for trash services. So also you'll see the biggest expense is what we pay directly to the contractor for that money. So we are doing the purchase of the claw truck for $250,000, and changes in solid waste rates are based off the consumer price index per the contract. So at this time, we're not proposing any increases, but until that consumer price index comes out, we can't for sure say that. And then last, definitely not least, is your sewer. Again, the majority of your revenue coming in from sewer is from sewer service charges. This year, we are not proposing a sewer rate increase other than the 2% cost of living that has been in place for the last 10 years. Your biggest expense in sewer is actually your depreciation. There is some talks about getting that revised and how you have to account for it, but as of right now, we're still tied to the way you have to do it for governmental accounting.
That's the lowest debt rate you've had in 20 years in sewer.
Yes, 4.38 your debt rate for sewer this year. And I think last year we were sitting at 5.4. So here's the breakdown of salary or expenditures for sewer fund. You have paid off one of your debts, and you have one debt that's still going until 2038. You will have to decide in the next coming months if there's any additional projects that happen in sewer, such as the wastewater treatment plant phase 2 expansion. It is important to know that you may have to take out a bond for that. If there was any sewer expansions any farther, you would have to take out a bond for that. We were very fortunate to have wastewater treatment plant phase 1 paid with an ARP grant, which the town only had to pay 10%, so we got 90% back. That was the first grant that I've ever heard of in wastewater. It was the only grant because right after that was approved, they changed all the rules for the second phase, and so our second phase isn't going to be eligible for grant money. We did complete several projects which we paid cash for this year. The Harold's Ridge lift station, conversion to gas, a couple pieces of equipment. We did have one new position added to this department last year, and we paid for the Hall Creek interceptor extension south of 40 with cash. And that's my budget presentation, and staff is available for any questions that you have.
You've heard the recommendation by Ms. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. McKee.
Second.
Second by Mr. Barker. Discussion. Mr. Biggs, you were trying to ask a question. You wanna go ahead?
Sorry.
On the LED lights, I was just curious what the savings was.
We haven't seen the savings yet.
What do we anticipate the savings to be?
They originally talked to us when we did our plan that we would expect to see around 5% savings, but you guys have any other?
I want to say that when Doug McGowan was at our mayor's meeting, I think some were experiencing like 12 to 15%. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but I mean, it was larger than what we thought.
We didn't pay for 100% upfront. We still had some existing inventory costs that we'll be paying for, so we're not seeing as high a reduction that we will after that's paid off.
Okay. Is that your,
Yeah, I answered the question.
Mr.
The
McKee?
only other one I have, you showed 2 million in our new town hall that we project to do someday. I thought we had 6
You spent 4 of it last
On
year
the
to
land.
purchase the Milton
on the
Wilson
land,
land.
okay.
Yes,
So,
sir.
so to keep your debt rate down to 3.2, you have to kind of do like we did Chief, we had to start saving money to be ready to pay for some of it ourselves.
Historically, that's the approach that the board's taken, was to pay as much in cash as we could for projects.
Which is why you have $16 million in reserves.
Because there's more land coming available, Mike, I think, down the road, is that correct?
There will be another, and another one could be in this budget cycle or the next, where the remaining portion will be coming most likely before us. And there's other things that we talk about with other landowners or stuff that options may come up at some point too. So that's why the reserves are important to an extent.
Well,
be able
and
to
I
make
look
those
at it
expenses.
monthly, and I don't know if anybody on this board can say our staff is doing wasteful spending. I don't see it. I do see that the board has made a couple of decisions we might not should have made when it comes to architectural drawings. We spent $500,000 on the town hall architectural drawing, and we still don't even have a plan. We don't know what we're gonna do, so I think some of that is on us, not necessarily, I don't see it with the staff.
Wait, I wanna go back to that. Is that correct? Cause I remember 200,000.
We did twice.
You spent $250,000 on the 15-acre parcel.
No,
in-
that's a parcel, that's not a.
No.
Well,
You
I'm
spent
sorry, we bought
$250,000 on architectural and engineering for that parcel. And then you
250,000.
spent, you're under contract for $250 for the other, Milton Wilson property.
Because it's a larger, because it's including a
You
master.
purchased the property for $3 million, the 15 acres. You purchased the lot next door for $2 million. And then you purchased the property over at, state property for $4 million.
And then that's when we found out we cannot do a master plan without having the remainder of the land. So it didn't make sense to build something that you're not long-term gonna have
Well,
a
that
master plan.
32 million that we're planning on is gonna be probably a good bit more than that time it comes time.
I mean, all things are gonna, I mean, just like I think we heard the slide earlier about, or the comment, I wanna say, maybe it was Mr. Biggs, something about the cost 8 years ago and then the cost now. I mean, everything's cost more, so.
Asphalt.
But I don't know, Mr. Biggs, did you have another, you were asking
The
a
only
question?
thing I'll add, and I don't think I've said enough, is, so $1.13 and $1.10, 3 cents, is $260,000. Right? I mean, cause you said each penny's
86.
80 cents, so 3 cents would be $260,000 out of revenues. For the last 4 years, we've underestimated reserve, or, sales tax by an average of $850,000. So to me, we're not taking a big risk. If we kept this budget the same and we, estimated our sales tax revenues closer to what we actually end up seeing.
Of course, we come from $1.16 down to $1.13, because that's where it was projected before we cutting that.
Well, as Ms. Durant said, this is our budget, even though staff has worked hard and put it together, and all of our staff here has brought it to us. And so I think, and gosh, Jeremy, please don't take this the wrong way. When you were saying people were moving to Oakland and all that, I mean, that kind of caught me a second ago. I started thinking, I get just as many phone calls, people not going to Oakland. We're not competing with, we can say we're competing with Germantown, Collierville, you think it's Oakland or whoever, but I think we're competing with ourselves. And when I say that is when you look at what we do with our money, and I'd rather drive down Airline Road than Highway 64. I would say that the value of a house that you go buy brand new in Oakland, for say, maybe 320,000, but here it's 400 plus. So it's the protections that we provide with the services that we provide. And that's after seeing all this, that's why it gives, when I didn't talk to staff about the budget after our last work session, because I wanted to see, I know you talked about the $1.16, the $1.10, and I wanted to see what they came up with, what the board came up with. And when I got that email the same time y'all did, I was like, okay. And then I went to Ms. Durant, and she said, we struggle to feel comfortable at $1.13 based on all the expenses and everything you see coming up. And that's where, I know it's our budget, but at some point, we're the ones responsible for it, but we have to trust the people that are doing the job. And that's where I try to remind us, we can do this any year we want, but when we wait sometimes so long to make these adjustments, up or down, then we get into these type of situations, so.
I trust them when I look at the budget and see where 45% of it is salary and benefits. They're not wasting money. There's no way they're wasting money when 45% of it is salary and benefits. So there's no wasteful spending, if you ask me. That's just my take on it. Nobody else may see it that way, but that's my take on it.
45% is actually unheard of.
It is, that's good.
And I don't disagree. I mean, disagree with the tax rate. I don't disagree that we have wasteful department heads, because we don't. And I understand that. That's not where my heartburn is. Part of my heartburn is government, when we say, because I remember this conversation coming up when the first two hotels came in. I'm not gonna say who or what, but when that conversation came up, it was like, well, this will enable us to lower property taxes someday. And, I've been up here for 9 years, and what I've learned is we don't lower property taxes. I mean, we don't have a history. That was a reassessment year, right?
But you lowered the rate.
We lowered the rate, but what a person pays in their home went up. And that, you say what, it went from this rate to this rate, but that wasn't during a reassessment year, and we went above the certified tax rate for that year.
Are we on the budget right now, or are we
That's
on
why
the
we're about
tax
to get
rate?
clarity. Mr. Harmon, I'm gonna get clarity on Mr. Harmon.
Okay, I was gonna, I guess, speak on the, I guess, F.
Yeah, I may have confused the letters
Yes.
when I pulled them back down.
Tax rate or budget?
Basically, I want to thank staff for everything that you've done with the budget. It's very difficult to give the citizens what they need and try to plan the money accordingly, because it is a big process. Y'all help me understand a lot of it, and I know that you're doing the very best you can. You're cutting everything as best as you can. But I guess especially here lately, my biggest concern is, we've got young families with kids. We have people that are on fixed incomes. When they bought their homes 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, they were paying this kind of tax, not just to us, but to the county. Now, all of a sudden, some have gone up 30%, 40%, 50%. Some of these people are not going to have to flee Arlington for the taxes. They're not going to have a house to live in. But these taxes come up. So I'm really concerned about the families and the ones on fixed income. And, you say that we don't normally, or a lot of cities don't normally go up on taxes when the county does. Well, I guarantee you, the county is not going to be playing with us with their tax increase. And obviously, there's not a darn thing that we can do about it.
I can't speak for the county because I don't know what they're gonna do, but they actually surprised me. The last presentation I saw was they were gonna lower it and be at the certified tax rate unless I've missed something in the last couple of days, but they were wanting to increase the wheel tax.
That is,
Which was like, what was $5 a car, I think is what the proposal was, which, you know, like for me would be $20 a year, which I'm surprised at the county, but the county, you gotta remember, the county is not growing. There's repopulation inside the county where people are moving from Memphis to the suburbs, but the county is not growing, so we're growing, and our budget sometimes grows and reflects it, whereas the county more is not really growing.
But there's demanding more money. You know, right now, if we just, if we tighten our budget, like the board, you know, okay, we may have to take a little out of reserve funds if we can't fall under or use that $700,000, $800,000 that they were talking about. If we fall under budget, hey, then we did great. If we go over it, at that point, we know how much we're over it and then what we need to do. Right now, you know, asking for taxes increases that will cover a span of 3 to 4 years. You know, with the economy like it is right now, you know, let's come back next year. Once the county does whatever they're gonna do to us, and then figure out what we need to do. You know, and it's not that I'm not for the growth of the town or the services. I'm a city employee myself, have been for 46 years. I fully understand this. I get the budget cuts. Been there, done that. You know, so I'm just, I'm at the point now, seeing what the overall between our taxes and then the county taxes is going to be, I think it's going to hurt the citizens too much. Let's see what we can figure out to soften the blow. And then next year, or 6 months from now, if we say, hey, it's just not going to work, then we do it.
Well, we gotta remember, this is the first reading of the budget.
I was about to say,
Budget. We're back on the
Back,
budget.
we're on the budget, we're still on item H right now, so this is the first reading, so, hang on.
my intention.
First reading of the budget,
Don't say what's
of
not
adopting the
there.
budget, and then we have to go back to adopt the tax rate. So we need to vote on this of adopting the budget. Again, this is first reading. Something could change between now and the second one, like we said before. You could change your vote, or we could go back and you could still, I mean, they may be able to sharpen their pencils more, I don't know, but depending on how the vote goes tonight. But what I'm saying is we need to get the first reading of one of these done and get the vote so we can get moving.
We're on the
So
budget.
I was just gonna
Stay
say,
on the
first
budget.
off, y'all are, I admire you for, everything y'all do. And I know that some of us don't make it easy, and I'm sorry for sometimes making it harder than I have to. My intent right now, is to vote for both things tonight, but I'm still gonna fight to try to find where we can bring that down. And so I don't wanna slow us down from being able to have to do some resolution of, like the federal government does, of having some
Continuation.
short-term continuation. That's not good for you guys as a staff nor our town, and I recognize that. And so, I'm hoping that in the next 2 weeks that, we can work to find additional, and that if there's other people on this board that feel the same way, that they do the same thing. And if not, then it'll pass in 2 weeks on that vote, I would assume. But anyways, I'm just, we've hashed it out for the first reading.
We got 3
pretty
minutes to
heavy.
get out here.
And yeah, and I'll be honest, this is longer. I mean, I told Brittany to abbreviate. I applaud her for doing the full presentation, but I told her we've done this at 2 different meetings now, and we need to. So so we are gonna be voting on.
I got one more
item-
thing.
Mr.
Sorry.
Biggs.
Voting on the budget.
I got one more thing though, and I need to ask Gerald or somebody.
Sure.
So I'm struggling a little bit, you know, we're voting on the budget, but then we're voting on the tax rate. Well, if you vote on this budget, you can't pay for the budget the way it's written unless you have the tax rate.
So we're gonna vote on this, and basically it'll be most likely the same vote, or who knows
Okay,
what the
I
vote's gonna
got you.
be.
All right.
But it's still the first reading. So
Okay.
so it's gonna be the first reading. And so
Okay.
let's go ahead and take the first reading of the budget. again.
I
And
think can I clarify this real quick?
Yeah,
Because at this
please.
point, the staff has presented a budget for first reading, so it will be up to the board to tell us specifically what we would like to balance it with, and not just staff go back and figure it out.
well, let's get, let's vote on this one.
Yeah.
And then when we vote on the tax rate, and then if there's, somebody
Immediately
wants to make an
following.
amend it, they want to, but we got two different things on
Motion
there.
and a second.
Mhm.
Do a roll call vote, please. Harmon,
No.
Barker,
Yes.
McKee.
Yes, yes.
Brooks,
Yes.
Harry McKee,
Yes.
Biggs.
No.
Wisman,
Yes.
5 yes, 2 no. First reading.
That's on the budget.
That's on the budget. All right, so now we are back to item either F or G.
The tax
What's
rate.
To
above
adopt the
Tax rate.
the one we tabled earlier, to adopt the tax rate. Do we need to get a motion back on the
We have
floor?
a first and a second on the table.
All right, so is there any direction right now, before we take a vote on this, that someone, you can ask specifically, but it would take an amendment by the board to give direction, right? We're voting on the $1.13.
But you're voting on the $1.13.
You're voting on the $1.13, so we're not saying come back and at the next one, but if somehow the board was, changed it between now and then, if they talked with staff and there was consensus amongst individual board members to where, or they found, or something came up miraculously between now and then and something changed, good or bad, that it could be changed at the next one. Most likely it's not, it's gonna be whatever this board adopts tonight to the next reading. So we are voting, is there anything else legally we need to add in there, Mr. Lawson? All right, so any other discussion
On the tax rate.
on the, this is a certified tax rate. Or not certified tax, this is the tax rate.
We're doing a roll call for the certified actual tax rate, which is calling.
Yes, actual tax rate.
Harmon,
No.
Barker,
Yes.
McKee,
Ye-
Jeff,
Yeah,
Brooks,
Yes.
Harry McKee.
Yes.
Biggs.
No.
Wisman,
Yes.
5 yes, 2 no. Tax rate.
All right, so those both passed on the first reading. The second reading will be June 23rd,
June 23rd. Yes,
both
sir.
items, correct?
Yes, sir.
5:30.
Properly presented, Ms.
Well, yeah, we have one other item, right?
Yes, so. Where were you at?
Yeah.
Sorry. We need to acknowledge, emergency expenses for the safe room roof. I'm sure all of you are aware that during the storm last week that the, I think Angela called it the toupee. The top of it-
Toupee works for me.
the top of it came off. We have had insurance out. We have had approval to go ahead and start with the demo. We do not have the cost back of what that's actually going to cost us, but we do need the approval and acknowledgement from you all to go ahead and start expensing those funds. You will see the budget amendments on June 23rd, hopefully accounting for some of those expenses to eventually be reimbursed by insurance, so.
You're authorizing an emergency purchase.
So you heard the recommendation by Mrs. Owens. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Brooks, second by Mr. McKee. Any discussion or questions on that? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
I'm in favor of a new toupee.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That item passes. Before we get do I need a motion to approve the bills for payment?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Biggs, second by Mr. Brooks. Any objection? Seeing none, that item passes. Before we adjourn, real quick, thank you, ACS. A little housekeeping. Sorry, usually our meetings are not this long. Little housekeeping. Everybody, even up here, I know sometimes we leave our stuff and staff gets in it. Let's, everybody do some housekeeping. Pick up your stuff when you leave, please. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to- Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Barker. No objection. Meeting adjourned.
I was just needing to stand up.
I know, I've been sitting there for 4 hours.
You have to get up and go pee.
4 hours.
But you're wanting to go 20 cents a lot.
No, I don't want to. That was a compromise. I told you that was a compromise.
No, I want to go 20 cents before.
Just because he's not giving up on the street. No, $1. Oh, yeah.
I was.
Well, I knew I wasn't gonna get it. I knew I wasn't gonna get it.